Welcome, everybody, to episode 17 of The Pylon Show. Take it away.
What? Is it actually live?
We're live.
Matt, you son of a bitch. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 17 of The Pylon Show. We're really happy to have you guys here. I'm your host, Jeff Control Robinson, and my equal partner in crime is Mr. Dan Artosis with a fresh haircut. If you could all please appreciate that in the chat right now.
All right. Yeah.
Dan, how are you, dude?
Handsome, particularly handsome today.
Oh, wow.
Also in a very good mood. There's been a lot of good Starcraft lately, and I'm very excited about some of the topics we have going on. So
there you go. The chat's loving your hair. I am too. But we're not alone, Dan. We're joined by two brand spanking new guests on the show. And I'll have you guys know, all right, if you doubt for even 1 second that old Poppy Jeff's not out there fighting the good fight for Starcraft, let it be known that I am. Okay, we asked Pig not once, but twice before to be on the show. You know what he said? He's got a busy streaming schedule, so he's not sure he could make it. But guess what? Guess who made time for the Pylon Show? The king of Australia himself, the Mud Pit Piper, Pig. Pig, thanks for coming on.
No worries. You know, I like to make a little bit of time for the little people. Just want to come on and maybe share a little bit of, you know, my following with you smaller guys, and hopefully you guys can catch on a little bit. A couple of my fans might convert over. So thought I'd drop by, see how the show's run. If it's good, I might come back a time, but you guys are going to impress me today, okay?
You are the new age Day 9. Thank you very much for being here, man. And our other guest is a person that's been around for a little while, but similar to Pig, you know, we've noticed that co-op is on the rise, and we got to get ahead of this and really rope in that co-op audience. And with that comes Zergirl or Kathy. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me. I am very excited to be here. I was recently featured on the Boundnet launcher showcasing co-ops, so I'd love to talk more about that and other StarCraft stuff with you guys.
And you even put up with Rotterdam. You played some co-op with Rotterdam too, which is amazing.
It was really fun. I'm sorry?
Is he any good at co-op?
I think he did very well. He was only level 3 or 5 Alarak commander, and we actually beat one of the most difficult co-op modes. Yeah, I usually recommend people be like level 15 and above, but he did it at a very low level.
Level 3?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it just goes to show that... no, never mind. I was going to make... Now I have to recalibrate my brain coming back from not making that joke. This is a professional show, guys. It's a family show.
Clearly.
Roadmap, as always. We got a lot of really fun topics this time. We have a not topic that I'm going to talk about when we get going, because I want to build up the excitement for this probe acceleration talk. It's been weeks in the coming.
It's been weeks coming.
We'll get to it. But we have a lot of topics, actually. So we're going to go through this week in StarCraft as per usual. We'll try to keep that pretty quick. And then just as always, a reminder, if you are listening right now and you want to have some questions for us or our guests, you have to do that in the Discord. There's a link in the chat. You can ask there. If you want to ask Kathy about co-op or anything at all, streaming, that kind of stuff, or if you want to ask Pig about just being literally just the best, you can make sure and do that. And then, of course, for our Patreons, your guys' questions all will get read. So make sure and take advantage of that if you have any good questions. And there's some good ones in there, as always. So let's do it. Let's do This Week in StarCraft.
Yes.
Artosis, where are we going?
Okay, so first things first, from GGE Mini 19. He delivers once again with the content. That guy is a machine, but he made a video on the mechanics behind army control. It's obviously Protoss focused because he's a Protoss player, but it is something that can be applied across the races. There's like concepts with explanations and examples shown in step-by-step format. And it's kind of about like moving your army around and clearly giving those commands.
Pretty cool.
And you can check it out. His GGEMINI_19 on Twitter.
It's like one of those inside jokes that there's going to be people that are like, does he not? Everyone.
I don't know what you're talking about, Jeff.
All right.
I talk to this guy all the time. He admitted to me that his name is E-Mini. So, it's like electronic mini, you know what I mean? Like,
you ever see that picture of the lampshade or Two Faces, Dan? This is kind of like that, except you're the only one on planet Earth that looked at this and saw GGMini, of course. Like,
it's It's like I hear Laurel, okay, and you hear Yanni. So I did take a look at this video, and I thought it was pretty cool. I tweeted out about it as well, so people can definitely check that out. He's got some really cool ideas. I actually talked with him for a little bit after he made it, and I think he has a lot of good content within him, ready to come out. He's just got to put it in YouTube format.
Did you just cast also content creator? Go ahead, sorry.
And then we also have one other piece. It looks like he did another build order. You can generally check those out on Team Liquid or check his Twitter. But it is a Stargate into 6 Adept Harass into Archon drop from Stats when he played against Cyril in GSL vs. the World. So really cool. He continues to put out a lot of Protoss build orders. And before you sit there and say, but what about me, a Terran player? Where are my build orders? Maxi C. Maxi
All right, hang on. Let me take a look at his name to see if I did. Where's his name?
Max U Starcraft. we're gonna
Maxi SC on Twitter. Okay, has made some monthly build orders.
Wow.
Terrancraft.com. You can check them out. I actually went and looked. He has the build orders written, not a big explanation, but he has the VODs linked that he got them from. So that's really cool. Anytime I see people pull out build orders and provide you with the VODs, that is probably one of the best ways that you can learn about utilizing those build orders well. So thank you to Maxi SC for getting that all together and giving the Terran players some build orders. And of course, last week we had some Zerg build order as well. So look at that. All the races have some people stepping up to the plate.
Equal representation. That's what we're about here.
Yeah. Okay, now on to drama tidbit number 1. Guru, the infamous Zerg player from Poland, is banned until March of 2019 for racist and offensive content during a ladder match.
Well, don't get too into this because we're gonna. Yeah. No, I guess it's not in our topics.
Well, no, this is like a small one. I don't.
Yeah, that's fine. We don't even need to go that far into it. This is like. For people that miss this, I'm not sure if this is the entire story, but this guy, like, I want you to know, this guy made the news for being stupid. Like, that's actually incredible. Like, a man in Florida type of thing, but this is literally Starcraft 2. Like, the guy was playing the Muslim, and he just started randomly saying pretty damn racist stuff. And I'm not doing San Francisco New Age millennial racist where I'm like, oh my God, he referred to someone as a Jimmy or something like that. And I don't know, I don't know what that means, but no, he like absolutely did it. And the best part about the video, the clip that got out, is the Muslim is such an innocent, pure soul, which is like only half true, but at least in this case, he looked like an innocent, pure soul. He didn't understand that the guy was trying to be racist, so he literally spelled it out. He was like, here's what I'm saying. He's like, N-word. I'm saying the N-word. And Demon's was like, oh, yeah, I don't think you should. The guy's banned, and this is like the second time this has happened. He got banned before for randomly going in on religions. Like, it's just, it's weird. It's like watching a guy try to kill himself with the cops. It's like, like, there's better ways to do it, I guess. I don't know. That's the whole story. He's just an idiot.
Guru's been like this for a long time, just kind of raging on the ladder. I remember back in the day, I'd be like, all right, I'm over in Europe. I'm practicing for a tournament. We're climbing up the ladder. And you inevitably hit the Barker GM who starts calling you things. And he's like, I work it. It was actually really comical in the early days because if he was beating you, he'd kind of BM you if he didn't like the way you played. That's a very common StarCraft thing. But he'd also, to try and rub it in, he'd tell you, I work full-time in a factory and I beat you. Yeah, and that was like my favorite Guru quote back in the days. Like he'd bring that out regularly. He'd be like, "I work in a factory, and I just fucking beat you, you piece of shit." Like, and you'd be like, "What?" Like, this is just bizarre, like insults and stuff. Like, I don't know. I kind of want to play devil's advocate just a tiny bit because this is, I think, part of like a broader thing with Overwatch League being a little bit obviously very, very strict. Sometimes very justifiably so. There are kind of things like little press release where like the coach brushed shoulders with like a player from an opposing team and had to do a press release about it and stuff. So I think a lot of people on the internet are like, oh, we're censoring things too much and stuff. But I think it's just like a necessary thing when things are in text, right? Like I get like if you're on a sporting field, you might say something to someone and you're usually going to get away with it.
Yeah.
But like it's just not the same when you're playing a streamer with 2,000 people watching, you know, Ben's stream, and you're just there and you're like, nope, I'm going to keep saying this. And I mean, it's kind of harsh. I saw Rhett tweeting like, I feel sorry for him. I think he's kind of socially awkward and he doesn't really know what he's saying. But like, how many times can you do it and not know what you're saying?
I
you know, like he's been banned before.
And I 100% agree that it is harsh. For me, if he was like, Muslim, you play like a bit, you know, you play like a dick, you're terrible, or like, I hate your style, and just randomly be him that way, I don't think there's a ban here. And if there is, then I think there is a discussion about being overly severe. But there's just certain things, I don't care how mad you are, you just don't say it. You don't say it online, you don't say it publicly, because it can get you into real trouble. And that's why I'm being silly a little bit, but I mean he's like literally stupid. Like, he's saying things that will actually get you banned, whereas if you just are an angry guy, you just be angry, and then people are like, well, you're kind of an angry dick, aren't you? But if you say stuff that's like, I'm trying to make you uncomfortable with how bad of a thing I'm saying, you'll get banned. And I love that we live in a world where that happens, by the way. I would hate it if people felt comfortable saying and doing this kind of stuff, and Blizzard never did anything, right? That would suck, I think.
Yeah.
Do you guys know how old he is?
No.
I think he's got to be like 20 now.
Oh, I thought you were about to say, I thought you were gonna like drop a nuke on me. He's like, he's 47.
I'm looking it up right now. Hold on.
He's young, I imagine, right? Pretty young guy.
Guru is 24.
Yeah, oh, pretty young.
Wow, he looks angry in this picture too.
I just googled that as well. I've got this. He's looking really sternly at the camera, right?
Pissed, man.
And he's a good player. He's a top GM.
Was this taken after the ban? Damn.
Nah, he works in a factory, man. All right, lay off. Literally. So he got banned, and that is the whole story. I guess just for everyone, the tidbit here is like, it's until March 2019, by the way. So sayonara. That guy's like super out of here. The kind of funny thing is, like, I don't think he ever qualified. I don't think I've ever seen him in Challenger even. So I mean, I'm sure he's made an appearance, but it is a little bit funny. It would be like me getting banned from like the yacht club in New York or something like that. I'm like, oh damn, well.
I don't know if that's exactly what it would be like, Jeff, but that was a good try.
Anyways, next one. What do we got? I like this next one. I can see it loaded up already. This is funny.
Okay. Oh, the next. Are we done with the Guru stuff?
As long as you
okay. Bye, Guru. We'll talk about maybe on the March 10th. 2019.
Episode 18, right?
Yeah. Like, he's back, guys. You think he's going to make it a Challenger? Everyone's like, no. I'm like, okay, the next thing in This Week in Starcraft. Okay, so Husky's YouTube channel got deleted, right? Like, this is Husky Starcraft. What a legendary, epic thing Husky Starcraft is, right? Like, he's remembered so fondly. He really helped with the Starcraft explosion. I mean, I've told the story that people that I went to school with, literally back in New Hampshire, were like, "Oh, you do this?" Like, I found out StarCraft through Husky StarCraft and stuff. You know, he's gotten so many people into the game, right? People love Husky, but he went off and has done some other things with his career, hasn't been doing things, and his YouTube channel got deleted. Everyone was kind of sad and saying things, but then he posted to his Facebook. By the way, his name is still Husky StarCraft. Soon, TM. What does it mean?
Wow. Did this just drop you guys to your knees?
I don't think it really means anything for StarCraft. First of all, he deleted everything from his StarCraft channel. And people were saying that I think he had another channel called Husky Plays, which is more generic. And I think he's doing something from that. And he changed the name to Husky. I also feel like if you look at the font of Soon, if he's doing something with StarCraft, he'd probably put like StarCraft font. That's what most people do.
I like that. That's another layer. I did.
But Soon TM is a Blizzard meme, right?
Well, just Soon TM is I mean, it might be Blizzard, but it feels pretty generic. I did some Artosis digging into this, and they're got the full scope of how the community felt, which is pretty funny, by the way. Because there's like a day separating the deletion of that page and then this post. And in that day, some people outed themselves a little bit too much. Like, for instance, and this is like the best example I can think of, when your friend breaks up with their girlfriend or boyfriend or something like that, and you're like, oh, good, they suck, you're way better than them, I hated that person. And then the next day they get back together with that person, you're in an incredibly weird spot. And a lot of StarCraft people found themselves in a really weird spot where they're like, fucking ungrateful, I hate it. just say something, like he owes all his success to us. The next day is like soon, and they're like, oh my god, do you think he's coming back? Oh my god, I would love that so much. Please have him come back. So that'd be really funny. But there's some crazy stuff. So for those of you that don't know, Husky left StarCraft 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even 5 at this point in time, to go on and be the producer and manager for his girlfriend, Rosie Pansino, who is one of the biggest YouTubers on all of YouTube. They recently put their house up, and I swear to God, I'm sorry, I did not do this digging, but somebody else did. I'm going to reference it. They recently put their house up for sale for over $4 million. They're doing pretty good for themselves. She has over 10 million subscribers, and he's helping her take over the world, essentially. So for a lot of people, that can leave a weird spot in them where they're like, he left StarCraft behind for money. Okay, but this is like, you know, world-class career, life-changing kind of money. So I personally, as a business person, can kind of understand it. A lot of us feel really loyal to StarCraft, but at the same time, it gets a little bit silly. Like, if somebody offered me $4 million to go produce a fucking weird YouTube channel, I'm sorry, guys. I'm probably gone. But nobody's going to offer me that kind of money.
I feel that. What about deleting the channel? Like, let's say Husky says, okay, I'm going to do some Fortnite videos, guys. I'm here. I think there's a lot of people who are upset because it's like this thing they go back to, right? They're like, hey, I want to see Pylo. I want to see the Banelings cover song. I want to go watch all those videos. So a lot of people are pretty angry about that.
And I have intel on that. So this is where it gets. This is why you come to the Pylon Show. I'm going to spill some beans here, and it's a little uncomfortable and weird because it's like one of those kind of things that politically it's probably better that I don't share, but it's interesting. So I was friends with Ro and with Husky on some level. And I had a friendship circle that I was a part of with these people. And kind of when their channel took off, some weird stuff started to happen. So they were taken into a management. I don't know the name of the company, but the management of that company, we theorized, because we never actually got we never got like a literal answer. But they told them that there's like a certain class of people or level of like celebrity in LA that you should associate with. And that does not include almost any of StarCraft. So they unfollowed people on Twitter. They stopped attending any kind of social functions with them. They just stopped talking to them entirely. I'm not going to name names for other people because that's their business to talk about, but I'll tell you some people close to me were like, hey, what's going on? And these are pretty big gaming personalities as well. And they were like, oh, no, we're just really busy. Sorry, we can't talk. And they just didn't talk for like 3 years. And that's weird because it went from like hanging out on weekends, seeing each other, going to concerts, that kind of thing, to I don't talk to you anymore. Fast forward to now, and I think my theory with what I knew what kind of happened there with this is in this additional climate of kind of what happened with the guy that was doing Guardians of the Galaxy. People can look at your previous content and find something. And in Husky's shit, there's not really anything controversial at all for the most part. But there is a lot of him like screaming and yelling and some sexual jokes and some references to one thing or another. And Ro actually starred in a couple of his videos dancing around. There's nothing terrible at all, really. But I think it's one of those things where they're looking at making millions and millions of dollars for like the next rest of their life. And their management looked at this and said, you know, you're not making money off this. This doesn't really matter. It doesn't look that good. And there's a chance that somebody could use some of this to downplay you guys or change the narrative. Delete it. So that's a theory. I don't know. I don't know the answers, but it paired well with what I did know that happened, and it's really unfortunate. But that's part of what happened here.
That's some really good digging, Jeff. So thank you for bringing that all to light. While you said that, I went to Husky's Twitter, and he did unfollow me. So I have a little bit of a sad
everyone in
right
StarCraft, except for a couple people. It's really funny.
His ID is still Husky StarCraft.
Yeah.
He really loved StarCraft too.
He has a blue check mark, right?
Yeah.
You actually can't change that unless you go through this huge process. It's actually kind of hard. The official name, anyways. There's like there's 2 names on Twitter, which I never understood, but you can change one of them freely. The other one that's associated with the blue check mark, you can't change unless you like file for it. So it's kind of weird. But
good luck to him, and he did a lot for StarCraft, and I think I'll always appreciate.
And he's a good guy, by the way. I'm not saying this because I'm like, this guy's evil and scummy. No, I think they're making business choices, and on the outside looking in, it kind of sucks and feels weird, but for them, you know, they're building an empire. I understand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys got anything else on the Husky thing? Good luck to him is the only thing I can think, right? Like,
my inner fan is just kind of a little bit sad that I won't be able to go back and look at those videos because that's how I got into Starcraft too. But otherwise, I'm with you guys. It's kind of like, you have that explanation. It's like, oh, I guess that makes sense. Because otherwise, it was something where I was just like, why is the channel deleted? And it explains things. It's something that's a bit sad, but we'll live.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Righto.
well, good job there, Jeff. All right, moving on. Somewhat sadly, goodbye, Husky. Good luck. From Cyan Esports. This man does a lot of content nowadays. He wrote a wrap-up of the NA and EU Challenger from this first weekend that you were doing, Jeff. We'll get into the Challenger a little bit more.
Very cool.
After this, but that's at the StarCraft 2 webpage for WCS. It's wcs.starcraft2.com. You can check it out there. And then, of course, the best tournament of the week. The Pizza Pie Bi-Week.
Every fucking week. I love it.
He's on top of it. All right. It is number 35. So this is going to be the 35th pizza given out here. And that's going to be on August 19th at 11 p.m. GMT. It's open to anyone who likes pizza. Bronze through Grand. Oh, he says that we should know this all by now, so didn't write it all the way out.
Oh, wow.
Of course, you can check it out on all-inspiration.challenge.com. And this is from uncommon_SC2 on Twitter. Yeah. So check that out, guys. The Pizza Pie Bi-Weekly. You watch this guy. He's like so on top of advertising this tournament. Eventually, if WCS ever dies, it's going to be between the Pizza Pie Bi-Weekly is going to be what we have for pro gamers.
The PCS.
They get to eat a pizza every week.
This next one's crazy.
Right.
I had no idea that Miss Kathy here was doing the media rounds again. Once again, we're following the footsteps of a username. Nice username here.
I think he figured out who you wanted to have on this week, Jeff, and he pre-invited them. Yeah. I think that's what happened. But as you say, nice username has put out incoming transmission number 13 with none other than Zerg Girl. How did that go, Zerg Girl?
It was fun. I haven't really talked about my history with gaming much with anybody, so I think this is like the first time I go into depth about how I came about with my ID, my experience in gaming and streaming, and just like my StarCraft experience.
Wait a second.
So,
he asked you about your ID?
Yeah, I talked about it.
Can I make an assumption?
What is the assumption?
Is it that you play Zerg and are both a girl and a Zerg player?
There is that, but I also, of course, there was Toss Girl in Brood War, so I was just like, oh, if she can do it, then I'll make an ID like that too. And I actually wanted to change my ID because I feel like it's kind of a mouthful sometimes when I introduce myself to people. So I actually did change it to something else. And I remember one of my real life friends was like, oh, I really like that you had that name. And I was like, why? And then she'd say, oh, it's because, I don't know, a lot of people would kind of react to me based on my name. Like they'd be BM or they'd just say weird stuff. And then she respected that I can like stand up to it easily. And I'm like, yeah, it's interesting. Like, because people say, sometimes creepy stuff or they just do like weird things. And it's actually very interesting to observe. And I kind of have thick skin, so it's like, okay, I'll just stick to the name. It's no big deal. I'll just say I'm Kathy at events.
We're going to ask you about that when we get to the co-op, because that, if you're willing to talk about that, that is fascinating, because I know a ton of my lady friends that do not put girl anywhere near their name because you must have been asked a million times, are you actually a girl? And you'll be like,
oh, yeah. And then sometimes I say, no, of course not.
Right.
Like, who would name themselves Zerg Girl? Stupid name.
They're like, good, I hate girls. You're like, yeah, me too. All right.
I do want to ask if you realize that Toss Girl was actually a Terran player.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, kind of. I think she was Toss, right? And then she swapped later on.
Yeah, she might have been Toss in the beginning.
Yeah.
Most noobs start as Toss.
Okay.
Sometimes they get good and they
He's
want
up
to
there,
play
Mr.
harder.
CM. All right.
You know what's strange though? I try to make different accounts on BattleNet to play for different races. So I have like Terran Girl, Random Girl, And I tried to make a Toss Girl account, but it said it wasn't, I couldn't do it. It's not appropriate.
What?
So I just put Pro Toss Girl. Yeah.
Really?
Really?
Toss Girl?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Is
that
what
is
toss-
fucking
that-
random.
Is toss a bad word, or if they reserved it because it's a pro gamer's name? 'Cause I'm
Tossa
super
is.
confused.
No,
They don't
they
reserve
didn't.
anything. There's like 1,000
They
in
don't
controls
reserve
on Balon.
things.
I'll tell you that right now. So it's like, Jeff, are you playing on Platinum? Because some guy was really mad at me, and I was like, yeah, dude, that's me and Platinum. I BM people on my name. That's absolutely Tossa.
That's really weird. Toss girl.
Hang on, Matt's sending me a message. This is so adorable. It is.
Yeah.
Toss is like throwing, and thus is blocked. No, Matt, get out of here with your tinfoil hat theories.
Okay, well.
Battle.net's
maybe
got some
we
funny
can-
ones, man. That's random as shit. That is weird.
Occasionally something pops up where it's like, that's.
I kind of here. I'm gonna do this. Are they saying toss is in like the sexual phrase, and then they ban that because that's really abstract?
Maybe. Isn't there like tossing the salad or
Yes.
something?
But that's like
That
seventh
is
level.
a faraway connection.
That's a
to-
faraway
to
connection.
maybe.
But they're just like, God, BNet nerds are so weird. Let's
And
just
literally, that was the best StarCraft 1 female pro gamer of all time. Was
Yeah.
literally that. So
Blizzard's
A little
just
bit
sick of how gross she was about it too, I guess, right? Like just get it. All right, I think that's actually it though, by the way. That is actually it. It's that or Matt's theory, which is tossing is like throwing.
who knows? Maybe we can figure that out in the future.
Yeah.
For another time. On to the next thing. What was my saying before, Jeff? I forgot it now. What is my transitional statement that I was really just I was destroying this week in StarCraft with?
Somebody in chat will know. That was so funny.
Yeah. Can't quite remember. Anyways, on to the next thing. From Duddles1. Hey guys, in case you don't know me, I'm the new face of Dank Shrine with a show called Who the Hell Is This? The goal is to get content creators, admins, players, mods, or just StarCraft 2 personalities who aren't in the mainstream some airtime with interviews. Sometimes I'll be interviewing famous people just because, A, how cool is that? B, it's the only way to give the non-famous people recognition. His last episode was with Cyan, and you can check that out on YouTube. Let me check the channel for that. It's the Dank Shrine channel. Dank Shrine
Pretty
Productions.
cool. Make sure to check it out. The only thing I think that's stupid about this is that you can't possibly play all those guitars at one time. So, like, what is he even trying to say? You know what I mean?
What? What?
Is that your best zombie girl impression? That's pretty good.
Someone we're right over my head there. All right, on to the next thing. Anonymous number 3 champion, Yas Queen. You know, Anonymous is No Regrets tournament where you don't get the name of the player who's playing until they lose. So once there's a champion, the highest donator gets to choose a random ID for that. Yas Queen won a tournament or 2 in a row, I believe, and lost in the finals of this last one. And so it is revealed it was Dark who ended up losing to someone who's now called Hotel, and we don't know who that is as of yet. Yeah, and there was some very good funding for the event, and it overflowed what was needed, so that extra money will be going towards a more professional studio for No Regret. And he's looking to do Anonymous number 4 maybe next week.
Wow.
That continues forward. Yeah, he's got his nose to the grindstone out here. I feel like he's trying to be like Pig a lot, I think.
A Korean pig.
Yeah, the Korean Pig.
Bringing us all the good stuff. Me and Jake are actually meant to be doing some content soon. Jake, if you're out there watching, get on the ball. Get me those recordings, man.
Ooh. I like it.
Ooh. All right. A little teaser right there. On to the next thing. Sea Duckling Open number 36, Bronze through Diamond Weekly Tournament. Check out cranky.challenge.com/Sea Duckling 36.
Bronze to Diamond, you said? So I guess Parting's got an account. They could probably play on that.
Bronze to Diamond. We'll get into that soon. Don't you push us ahead of schedule. We're almost done this week in StarCraft. People have been really good about submitting their stuff.
Yes, they have.
Yeah. All right, from MRaptor SC2. we at Blue Shell are announcing our first event, the Blue Shell Cup, powered by Matcherino Challenge and partnered with OSC. And this tournament has a $200 prize pool, so definitely check it out. You can go to those websites and check out the Blue Shell Cup Season 1. It also has a Liquipedia page, so that's an easy place to go get some more information. $120 for first place. All right. And one of our last things here from LKG_Mr. L. Oh, that's a fantastic ID. Hey, I'm the host of #PassionCraft. We are a community tournament for Master League players, the Forgotten League, when it comes to tournaments. No chance in open ones, but not allowed in the low league tournaments that end at Diamond.
Oh, wow.
I guess that could be true, right? Like, basically, Master League players aren't able to win Grandmaster tournaments, or they'd be Grandmaster. And then if you have all these tournaments like we just talked about that end at Diamond, where are the Master players there? Anyways, they are sadly the only large individual tournament for players in the 4.8K to 5.7K MMR range. Well, here's the thing, though, right?
Holy shit.
The 4.8 to 5.2K players, they aren't going to be able to beat 5.7K players. So what about, I think we need a subset tournament for that range as well.
I'm looking at 5.7. I'm like, Jesus, I've been 5.7 in a long time.
That's pretty legit,
That's pretty
right?
fucking good.
Yeah, 5.7. Yeah. Anyways, they have more than 100 unique signups each season, and the prize pool is €250. Thanks to sponsoring from the teams Dark Society Gaming and Beast Esports. And they just finished one 3 days ago, so you can definitely check it out. Go to the PassionCraft Open. You can check it out on Liquipedia. Cool. Okay. One last thing for this week in StarCraft, very quick one from me. ASL Season 6 has been announced. It is going to be starting on September 2nd. The qualifiers are this weekend. So, yeah, that's very exciting. We just had the wild card match. Flash won the seed, so we'll be seeded into the round of 16. A little tiny bit of drama is surfacing that Larva, I guess, isn't going to play because it's too stressful. Which is kind of interesting. I think this is the Korean version of what we have talked about on the Pylon Show a few times, like being a streamer versus being a pro gamer, and how it's really difficult to do both well. And Larva is one of the more popular streamers, so maybe it has something to do with that. But
is that what it is? I heard it was KSL pressure.
He's not in KSL though,
but he wouldn't be
lost in the qualifier. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm gonna ask him when I see him and see what's up with that. So hopefully we'll have an answer. Okay, so that's this week in StarCraft.
Thank you, Dan. All right, let's get into the topics. The first one is WCS Challenger Season number 3 has kicked off, if you will. A lot of interesting players. I got to ask you, Pig, because Australia had its qualifiers. Why aren't you competing? I feel like you're better than a lot of these guys, kind of making it through there. Or at least as good.
I think I could beat some of the, I wouldn't come last, I don't think, especially if I put in some nice practice. But I mean, for me, it's great research to cast the event. And basically I'm casting the qualifiers from the very start. Whereas with if I was playing NA, there's no official cast, right, for the open qualifiers. So I would be able to kind of do it like Roddy, where I kind of like cut my teeth there a bit, see if I can get a cheeky win versus a pro gamer here or there. It'd be fun, but I'm so focused on casting, and because they want me to cast the event, I think I can kind of do more be more up to date with the players from my region, kind of cast, I get to deliver something that way, and I get to feel less out of touch when I do get the chance to actually cast on the main stage. Like there's something about, I get to play in the tournament, but I get to miss most of the games, whereas if I'm actually casting, it just kind of fits with my alignment, like you've still got that competitive edge. I know you guys do as well, but the moment you commit to playing in something, then it starts being like, all right, well, now I want to train a little bit. Now I want to practice a bit. Now I'm going to do I want to take a day off streaming or something? And my schedule is like ridiculously jam-packed. So it's one of those things where I know I'm going to go in, I'm going to cheese my butt off. And if I somehow fluke beating some people who could have actually represented my region really well, I mean, if I qualified for a WCS, I would not want to go because I would embarrass my region so badly when I get overseas. Like, it would be such a fluke if I got there. So there's kind of a bit of that being torn where it's like, I don't think I would qualify. I honestly think these guys are way ahead of me, and they get kind of underestimated because obviously, like, we send 2 players over each season.
They do great.
Sometimes they have a good run, sometimes they don't. So people don't really know them, and people think, oh, it's one of the weaker regions. You know, Taiwan, people only know Haas. China, no one really knows the players outside of the Chinese scene, and our scene, I think, has a little bit more exposure. But overall, I'm just like, I don't really want to go into that. It's just too busy for me. So that's like the most convoluted answer I've ever given.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like I asked Tom Cruise about Scientology.
Yeah, if there was a couch, I'd be jumping up and down on it right now, just going, oh my god. I don't know. But yeah, long story short, too busy, and I think there's better players than me to rep the region.
All right.
Yeah.
But we did have North America and EU. It is, like, I wouldn't super recommend you go back and watch the VODs for anybody if they're like, oh, I missed that. Is there any great games? Not really. It was kind of surprising that Antis, who is, I think that's one of his first, if not his first time making it into Challenger, he took second in his group. It was good to see Neeb clean house. Not a guarantee, by the way. Neeb was playing from Korea to North America, which, if he had a harder group, that'd be really worrisome. But he made it look easy, I guess, is the point that I would make here. He didn't drop a single map. Antis, surprisingly, like, looked really bad at first, but then was able to clutch it out. And then Silky, who was a little bit of the darling the season before, completely bombed out. He went 0-4, had a bad day. And then on the other side, Scarlet and Puck qualified over Cuddlebear and Future. So it was kind of a quiet day in the office on that side. And then on the EU side, Cyril absolutely took care of business, as he should. He dropped 1 map, which was kind of surprising, and that was a little bit nice. Who else? Oh,
Was it a 2-Rex?
No.
Euthermal taking it with a 2-Rex? Because I really just want that meme to proliferate and never die.
It'll never go away.
It was ZVZ, I think? Was it the Denver?
No, he dropped them map to
no, not
Euthermal.
Denver. It was Euthermal. No, I think it was a straight-up game, if I remember correctly. I think it was a straight-up game.
Okay, cool.
Oh, it was Mech,
Nice.
Actually. Wasn't it Mech, you guys? Someone in the chat? I think it was Mech, maybe?
Euthermal's got some pretty sick mech play. He's like super wild, so it's hard to predict what he's going to do.
Hashtag the gap is closing, guys, between Cyril and Euthermal.
He always drops a map or two. It's kind of funny. But yeah, Euthermal made it out as well, and he looked really good. He absolutely thrashed his opponents other than Cyril, obviously. Poor Stefano gets a group of 4 Zergs, by the way, so that just continues to be, like...
As always.
He's actually top 4 on the EU ladder. Like, he is either 7 KMR or up there, but the poor guy, and I'd love it if somebody, I mean, we don't really have people doing this anymore, but somebody should crunch the numbers about how every one of his tournaments has ended. I, without even knowing, would go out and say it's like 95% to a Zerg. Yeah. I never see him lose to a Terran.
He's always in a 4 Zerg group. Like,
or 2 or 3 at least.
Every time I look, it's crazy. I want him to do so well so badly.
Oh, it's the Hellbat push. Thank you, chat. Thank you. No, Euthermal hit a Hellbat timing that Cyril just...
okay.
He, like... It's one of those timings where he did that thing where he's like, I can run Lings in now, and a second later you're like, oh, I couldn't have, and that was kind of too much of a detriment for him to deal with. So do check it out. It's going to continue this coming weekend. Nathanias, Zombie Grub, and Fear Dragon will be the casters, and it's going to be pretty good. And then the following weekend after that will be the finals. So a lot of WCS stuff going down leading up until Montreal, which is... We'll talk about that in a future episode or two. We don't need to do it now, but that's going to be hype. That's the last stop of WCS. There's some pretty sick players on that bubble. There's some guys that look really good to qualify, like Haas is going to be at BlizzCon probably.
Yeah, the difference between Cyril and the others is actually ridiculous.
Yeah.
As well. Like with the points board, just is the most comical thing. There's like Cyril's got like 12,000 points or something now, and second place is like 3,000 or something. It's actually crazy how close it is between all the other guys, though.
Yeah, and the games are that good. It's silly. Like, we get to be a little more casual, so there's a lot of jokes being made and stuff like that. Matt, you're getting ahead of yourself a little bit. We're not on that topic, my friend. The next topic.
Oh, are we doing the Smurfing topic now?
Not yet, no. We got to tap into Miss Kathy here and ask her about co-op as our next subject here. I want to ask you some general questions, and you're going to be kind of the co-op guru here, so you tell us. I can tell you with I mean, maybe Pig plays some, but Dan and I absolutely not. We're not.
I haven't played it yet.
It's actually, so for people that don't know, there is a huge audience of people that play co-op pretty exclusively. Like, that is their StarCraft experience. And Blizzard has fed into that. It's got a lot of resources going into it. It's really gorgeous. It's a very fantastic way to experience StarCraft. But Kathy, you've kind of made it the thing that you do. This is where you reside, and this is what you do. So can you tell us a little bit about it and kind of what drew you to it?
Sure. So before I was just streaming mostly ladder and afterwards playing like other variety stuff. And then co-op was kind of an afterthought. I probably would play like a few games with friends here and there. And then I started streaming it more. And I actually heard that co-op player base is larger than 1v1. And I also noticed that people who were featured on the BattleNet launcher, they never really did much co-op, or I missed it. If they did, when they were featured, they would usually just do, 1v1s. And then maybe there is some co-op just to have that viewer interaction or just to add like some fun to it. So my whole feature stream was just purely co-op. I'm not going to say that I'm like a complete expert. It's just I can progress because a lot of my mechanics transferred over from 1v1 because you got to macro up and, micro stuff. But yeah, there's a big community. I shared with Matt the co-op Discord as well. And they're actually making updates to a lot of the commanders recently. So I think that's a good state for co-op. Like, something's always changing. They're listening to people. Because some of the commanders are there's only one style of playing them. So the designers are looking into changing that. And another little bit that I also learned was that I think there was someone named Monk who used to be at Team Liquid, but he actually got hired by Blizzard. So now he's like the head designer of co-op or something.
Oh, cool.
So I think Blizzard is investing a lot more into this mode. And they're also releasing new commanders here and there. Although I think there's a new one that should be coming out. I'm not sure. I only hear rumors, so don't quote me on that.
Very cool. So, because like you said, you did used to play single player and stuff like that, and you kind of switched to co-op.
Yeah.
Kind of a few of the funny questions I guess I would have is like, you said you play with friends sometimes, but do you also randomly queue, like you get random partners and right?
Yeah, I would get random partners, but most of the time when I'm streaming, I'm playing with viewers, and I would have like a wait list of people who would want to play. So I'd limit it to like 1 or 2 missions per person.
And how have you generally experienced that? Because I know for those of us that have been playing StarCraft for a long time, there's some pretty funny horror stories that aren't necessarily your overall experience, but it definitely happens where like you get that opponent that's a bit of a dick, or not even opponent, but your partner that's a dick, or you get backstabbed, that kind of stuff. Is that happening at all in co-op? Or is it mostly just friendly and really fun?
Well, I've never had anyone troll me like that. I've had comments where, so there's co-op commander levels, right? 1 being the lowest, and 15 is maxing out on all of your abilities and getting all the units unlocked. And above 15 is where you get mastery points. But when you want to play like the most difficult regular mode called brutal, you kind of want to do it around level 15. But I was doing it with low level commanders. So when I'd enter into game, I had a person recently go like, "Oh, did you accidentally pick brutal?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. I didn't know." He's like, "Oh, it's okay. I'll carry you." And then I actually ended up carrying him. Like his base was in tatters. Like he couldn't really deal with anything. I was like, "Oh, okay." So I kind of had to compensate for him.
Yeah.
So I do get comments like that because I queue up for brutal with low level commanders sometimes.
Okay.
Do you have like a pretty high ascension level on any of them? Is ascension only once you max out all the commanders, or is that like per commander? Because I always see people kind of talking about like there's like some guy with rank 700 ascension level who must have played like 5,000 hours of co-op or something like this.
Cow.
I'm not really sure about ascension, but I'm level 111 right now. But yeah, there's a lot of people who have high level, who are like at a high ascension level, and then you actually get like emotes and sprays for that.
Oh, really?
But, yeah, I can't really talk much about ascension because I didn't investigate it. I actually learned recently that you can get achievements from doing certain actions in co-op. So that's why I'm saying like I'm not the complete expert. I just started streaming it a lot recently, and just like, playing with viewers and stuff. And I just got into their community, just kind of seeing what people do. There's also people who do speed runs and who also solo missions. And I actually discovered those because they were stickied on the front page of the Starcraft subreddit. I don't know if you guys have seen those, but people usually post their replays, and a lot of them are pretty impressive.
Very cool. Yeah. And you've been, like you said, you've been kind of exclusive with this. So have you gotten tired of it all, or is it pretty fun to play for hours and hours? Is there enough diversity?
I think it's fun. I enjoy playing with viewers. Some of them are new, so I try to carry them or coach them through it, and I have a lot of fun with that.
And how do the people compare? I maybe this is if there's no answer to this, that's okay. But like, do you feel like the people that do co-op are different from the people that play single player? Like, do you notice an attitude change, or they're just like different kind of people at all?
An attitude change? I'm not really sure. I think I did see some comments when Roddy was playing with me. I think he was trying to like micro with war prisons or do something with war prisons, and a lot of the co-op people were like, "Oh, look, he thinks it's 1v1 or something like that."
That sounds like the old rivalry between money mappers and regular mappers or something like that.
Remember that? And like a top 1v1er would be like, "Oh, I can go do a money map," and they're like, that competition that they used to have. Yeah. Just a different way of playing StarCraft. Well, that's really cool. And then I guess just a couple of questions for you as a streamer. Like I said, I hope you don't mind, but it is really fascinating to have someone that is outwardly named girl in this community, especially in this day and age when we're kind of talking about, for a lot of people, like they're just now learning how to be socially normal, I suppose, but like treating people with some semblance of equality. What has your experience been with like StarCraft? Like, have you? Is it really rough? Is it bad? Has it highs and lows? As a female in the scene, which is dominated by males, how's it been for you?
I think it's been overall pleasant. In real life experiences, it's all been good.
Yeah.
Online, you do get some rude people here and there in my chat. And I'm a little bit more lenient sometimes. I'm just like, "Oh, sorry to hear about that. Have a good day," if they say something rude. And then they never really come back. I think I would consider myself to have thick skin, so I can deal with a lot of insults. I do feel like a little shaky sometimes, but it goes away. But I just think the responses and the reactions I get sometimes during matches, especially if I beat people, they're very entertaining to me, which is why I've retained the ID Zerg girl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's cool.
I think one instance in particular was I beat someone, and the person he wrote his username has left the game. I don't know if you guys remember that, to trick the other person to thinking that I left the game. So I put Zerg girl has left the game too, and then he got extremely upset with me, and then he was just saying a bunch of mean stuff, and he's like, "Oh, what kind of girl are you to be playing video games?" Like, and I was just like, "Oh, but you're the one who's trying to be like kind of cheat me out of a win." I don't know. It was just a very strange event, but I laughed at it.
I appreciate you answering, because that's actually exactly what I was asking for. I love the like strangely puritanical things that some people will say. They're like, "What kind of girl are you to be playing video games?" It's like, that person's out there in the real world. Oh my God. She might even play sports, you guys, or even vote someday. Jesus Christ. What is happening? Well, hey, that's cool. And it's a little bit nice to hear that, for the most part, your experience is pretty okay. And I think actually you hit the nail on the head when you said, like, if you don't give them I know that everyone says that, but it's actually true. Like, if they come in and they're like, "You're a girl, show me your boobies," and you're just like, "Hey, that's rude. Please get out." That usually just kind of, right? Like, they'll just kind of stop.
I mean, I can just ban them at any time, but it's just like, "Oh, sorry to hear about that. Have a nice day." I think this comes from my like customer service experience as a waitress. It's like, oh, when someone's complaining, it's like, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear about that." It's just, that's my go-to response.
That's awesome.
And then most of the time people leave, or they're just like, sometimes I've even had people apologize later on. They're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I treated you poorly. I was just having a bad day and blah, blah, blah. I just took it out on you." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Yeah. That's nice.
That's really cool. Good job, Kathy, out there being the psychologist, I guess, for a lot of these young nerdlings. You guys any got questions about co-op or anything like that?
I got one quick one. You said you went from playing 1v1 to co-op. Is that what you do in StarCraft? Like 100%, or do you divide your time amongst different modes in StarCraft, or are you just co-op now? Like, what is it?
I don't really have a strict schedule. It's kind of like what I feel like at the time. A few days ago, I was laddering as well, but then I was also, but most of the time, I've been playing co-op for like the past month or so.
Cool.
Very cool. Well, all right. Let's move on to this next topic, which I am super just absolutely jazzed to talk about here.
Yeah.
We touched on it for a second. It is time. It is time to talk about our drama topic.
Do you want me to go over the drama and then we can talk about it?
You can break it down. You do it, Dan.
Can I break it down?
Please do.
Because I'm prepared for this. I'm really
yeah,
excited.
I like it.
So, guys, I don't know if you heard, but Nathanias and Parting have had words with each other a little bit in this week. So, here we go. What happened was, I guess, Parting was smurfing on a lower-ranked account while streaming and just smashing some players. And obviously, Nate is quite a good player. He's like, generally, he's GM on NA, right?
Yep.
So, quite a good player. But Nathanias, after stream, tweeted, "Good stream today, yo. I'd like to clarify that I do not have respect for people who intentionally play lower MMR just so they can win on stream to look good for uneducated viewers. It just makes the playing experience worse for everyone else." Okay, and then that turned into a big, long Twitter thread. And then Parting on stream looked at this tweet and, in his very Parting way, screaming, "Fuck you, no GG," while he replied that specifically on Twitter to this. Okay. And then there is another highlight clip that surfaced where Nathanias is talking and Parting is watching and laughing while Nathanias is talking. This one, Nathanias says, "I don't know why he has to smurf and cheat," and then kind of goes on about how this doesn't make him cool, it makes him a dick, and he's in the same category as, Beyond and Winter, who also sometimes play lower ranked accounts on stream and win a whole bunch. So then this all got on Reddit, of course. You can't go that far and not get some Reddit threads, right? Not, yeah. So I looked through these Reddit threads and I couldn't find Nathanias' responses, but I knew they were in there. Oh, they were all downvoted to hell. It was crazy. It's that little thing where you actually have to go in and click it because it's been downvoted so much, which I found to be kind of crazy. It's like the thread, the guy that the thread's about. Why are you downvoting that? That's like what you need to read in that thread. What are we doing here? That doesn't make sense. Anyways, in one of them, Nathanias responds like, "What are you talking about? I said my piece and put on chat to sub mode. Didn't want to focus on it and moved on." And then people are arguing with him. And then he just says that, people are like, "Oh, you're being aggressive." And he's talking about how his tweet wasn't really that aggressive and stuff. Then there was another Reddit thread. So I go in, downvoted even more on his comment. Guys, why are we making these threads and then downvoting? You can disagree with what he says, but like the whole point is that he's responding in these threads. Okay. So like, I don't understand why I have to go through and look at all the ones that are downvoted down the bottom anyways. This one currently at minus 28 votes. Dude sends his viewers to harass me because I point out that he shouldn't be at 5K MMR and I'm the bad guy. Yeah. And then just a little bit of arguing in there. So that's basically where we're at right now. You guys can fill me in if I missed anything, but this is what we're talking about.
Yeah. So this has been a topic for a while. I think the interesting thing, so that there's a few misconceptions that I've seen on Reddit and in Twitch chat with people talking about this. Number one, Nathanias is in GM. You can't get smurfed when you're in GM. Yes, you can. It's like the question of, if you're in GM, why aren't you competing in GSL? Shouldn't you be in the round of 32? For anyone who's not super into how competitive StarCraft works, there's a massive difference between a streamer in low GM like myself or Nathanias and someone like Parting who's in the GSL round of 32 this season, right? So there is a massive MMR difference. Just to give some specific numbers, Nathanias is maybe about 5,500 MMR at the moment. Parting basically has like 7 of the top 8 spots on NA ladder with an average of about 64 to 6,500 MMR. So we're talking about an over 1,000 MMR difference. Um, it's massive. I sometimes get an 800 MMR difference on ladder, and I kind of go, "Oh, why, ladder? What are you doing? Why are you giving me this match? This is dumb." And I've had the same thing where I've played Parting or Supernova like 4 times in a row. It loves to match me with them because they're in Korea, I'm in Australia. So it says, "Hey, Singapore's between you guys. Even if you've got 1,000 MMR difference, you can play 6 games in a row. Have fun, buddy." And it is frustrating when you know these guys are like literally like I remember the last time I beat Supernova. It was 25 hours into his 24-hour stream, and I barely beat him in like a 45-minute match. And I was like, ugh, I'm like shaking at the end, like, God, he's so friggin' good with his mech, and I'm doing everything I can with my Swarmos. And I'm like, this is crazy. He's just that much better than me. He's like, I open his stream, and he's like sleeping, like one eye's completely closed. And I'm like, oh my God, ladder, please stop matching me with these guys. But it's especially frustrating because I've had the same thing as Nate, where I'll then sometimes check their account and go, that's weird. I lost a lot of MMR for that match. And it's like, oh, he's at 5,200 MMR. Open up the ladder. He's also got another account, which is 6,500 MMR. I'm like, oh, okay. And so sometimes people give the excuse of, oh, no, he's not smurfing. He's playing under his own name. So what we mean by smurfing is simply playing on a lesser MMR account to play against people who are lower level. It doesn't mean you're specifically trying to hide your identity necessarily, though we also use smurfing for that. Good job gaming terminology and jargon for being confusing. And people also say, oh no, he's doing a 50-win challenge. He wants to see if he can get 50 wins and 0 losses. People also say this, oh no. Winter or someone is doing a bronze to GM challenge. This is smurfing. This is starting out with a new account specifically to get up there. Now, if you're like, oh, I need a new account because I want to play a specific style on this account, I'm going to start off, and within usually about 20 wins, you'll be playing other GM players, right? But often what these people will do is they'll get on an account, they'll lose by leaving the first 20 matches, start it down in bronze, and then they'll climb their way up. So this is you know, you can justify it with saying it's a challenge to get 50-0, it's a bronze to GM, which every single StarCraft content creator seems to have done at some point or another. It's smurfing. You're basically trying to play people who are a lot worse than you so you can show off. And I know I've been going for a while, but I want to draw the comparison quickly and say my reasoning behind why people do this is think about Battle Royale, the ultimate streaming experience. You're a GM or a pro player, and you're playing 100 people who are mostly bronze to diamond, right? That's like most of the people you're running around. And you get to style on these people. You're reading chat while killing everybody easily because they're that far below your skill level, right? And I think people want to kind of create that to give themselves an easier streaming experience. And it makes streaming StarCraft a ton easier. You can mass Banshees every game, no worries. You can proxy BC and win your games. But the reason we dislike this as serious gamers is you're ruining other people's ladder experience. That's why I personally am pretty against it. And I also get salty when people do this a lot. I also say Blizzard's done nothing about it ever before, and they don't show any indication of doing it. And that's why I just say, look, I can't stop other people from doing it. I'm not going to actively go out there and campaign against it.
Yeah.
I will make fun of them and tease them about it and be like, oh yeah, guys, I'm going to be like Beyond. I'm going to win a world championship. And then I'm going to leave ladder games to play versus worse people to make myself look good. Because I think it's comical and it's kind of ridiculous that people do this. And so many streamers have done it over the years that it's at a point where it's very accepted. But I personally am totally on Nate's side of thinking it's a pretty scummy practice. And I think a lot of people have done it and a lot of viewers are behind it because so many of their content creators have done it, but I just don't like it. I never will like it. Those content creators can keep doing it. I understand why they do it. Personally, it's not my thing. I think it's a little bit shitty.
Dan's, Kathy?
Yeah. I think I encounter lower league people when I'm trying to play a new account. Like I renamed myself, Terran Girl or Protoss Girl, not Toss Girl, and it's kind of boring. But it's like I want to rank those up. I don't think I've done bronze to master streams. I do think it's kind of shitty because people are trying really hard to reach the next rank. I've also heard of people saying that they want to play against lower league people because they say it's easier for commentary because you're not putting that much of your focus into it. So it's like, oh, more viewer interaction. It's for the greater good.
So I agree. I like that Pig went on the tangent that but the speech that he did, because I think it's a specific thing, right? Like if it's a new season or it's an account you haven't touched in a while and you're not intentionally playing lower level people, that's just a thing. And like Jared said, it'll just take you about 10, 15 games, and then you're about your level that you're supposed to be. I think we're talking specifically about trying to play against lower level people on stream. And not to necessarily play devil's advocate, but the other side of this that makes this a little bit more convoluted and different than just like, that's scummy, and Pig touched on this a little bit, but it's actually a successful streaming thing. Like people, when you say, I'm trying to win 50 games without a loss, that little objective thing is something people get excited about. And you can't. There's like, actually, no matter how good you are, unless you're Flash in Brood War, you really can't be like, I'm going to win the next 50 games at my level and not lose a game. But nobody will. Nobody can. Maru, okay, can't do it. So you have to go to lower levels to do that. But for whatever reason, viewership actually grows and people get excited about that, even though they're fucking annihilating people. And really, they're trying to see if they can win the final 10 games against like their own level. That's the actual challenge. The other 40 games are just building up viewership and building up hype for it. But it works. Same thing with bronze to GM stuff that Winter has built his channel on, and it actually works as well. Like people are, like I've heard people like very casually say, "Oh, hey, Winter's doing another bronze to GM thing. That's amazing. I'm gonna go watch that for the next 8 hours or so," and it works. So I'm not saying that makes it okay. I'm not saying I agree with it, but that is the other side of this: is that people like partying beyond Winter or whatever. They're not really evil, bad people. They're streamers that are doing something that works, and if it kind of fucks up your day a couple of times to build your stream, that'll happen.
Yeah, I see a comment in chat as well, actually saying, I have an account which I cheese on called Star-Lord. People are saying, isn't it kind of hypocritical what Pig's saying because of that? The thing is, I've never smurfed with that account. I got it straight up to the MMR, and I've actually been over 6K MMR on that account, and that's part of the challenge of it. And
like 300 of those points are mine, though, but still. But yeah, I mean,
whoever tweets that in the chat should probably look up the word hypocritical before they use it again.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I sometimes, as a result, it does hurt my streaming because I'm trying to cheese people. I'm trying to do these ridiculous strats, and I'll lose like 6 games in a row because you know what? I'm playing on an account that I'm playing against challenger players, and they know I'm going to cheese them. I announce my race at the start of the game, and I lose 6-7 games in a row, and that's a little bit hard sometimes. I'm like, oh man, I've really got to like manage my expectations, and then sometimes my MMR goes way down a little bit just because I'm not able to make these strats work. Like right now, its MMR is way lower than it normally is because my cheeses aren't working. I'm trying these new crazy cheesy builds, but there's a difference between trying new cheesy builds and them just not working out, my MMR going down a couple hundred, and me purposefully like dropping ranks and like losing half my games. Like, you get in a winning position and then you like leave or something like that to lower your MMR. It's an account which, I basically, I'm like, hey, I'm playing GMs every single game. Except when ladder gives me a massive mismatch. So there's a big difference there.
So I will go ahead.
There couldn't be a bigger difference. It's like stupid to say that you're a hypocrite because that guy doesn't know what words mean. Anyways, this is a really interesting thing because I came in here with one opinion. You guys switched my opinion around because originally I was like coming in and I was going to argue that Nate's being kind of like a wimp and like, what are you, like, why do you care about this? But now I understand. You guys have kind of explained it well. Yeah, so if this is like just a ploy to get viewers, now I feel like there's two different aspects you can look at this from. The first one is, how is this different from the old stream snipers we used to get all the time? Right?
Well, they would target you.
It is different. It is different a little bit, right? But at the same time, you look at it, it's like, oh, why are you, like, if this is just to get viewers, I don't know. I find that to be so impure for a game that I find so pure, right? Where you're like, oh, I just want to bash people. First off, who wants to watch that? I guess
Most
a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Shocks me. You want to watch games that aren't close?
Yes.
What the hell? You want to watch someone just bash people?
I think for some of these bronze to GMs, people also anticipate troll builds. So I've seen a lot of people do like, proxies and whatnot. So I think there's some excitement from that, seeing unconventional builds.
Yeah. And it is what you said too. Yes. It's unfortunate, but it is real. You can commentate more when you're playing something way below you. You can be more engaging. And StarCraft is actually one of the hardest games to stream. I've almost all but given up. Like when I'm playing, I'm like a fucking zombie. I'm just staring at the screen trying my hardest to win. And then I look at the chat, I'm like, all right, guys, sorry, I forgot about you for the last 20 minutes. And there's people that are way better about that than me, like a Pig here and some of these, like Rotterdam. They'll talk the whole time. And I can do that to a certain extent, but not nearly on their level. But if you're playing someone really low, absolutely, not a problem. I'll send my Warp Prism over here, and I'm just hitting the E button and looking at the chat, like, yeah, what's up, guys? Oh, he is attacking me. Well, it's at 70 supply less than what I have. Oh, here we go.
That's why it's so hard to like hate on people for doing this as well, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm critical of it and I make fun of it and I say I don't agree with it and I don't do it myself. But that's why I'm always at the same time saying, but I get why they do it.
Yeah.
Like it makes streaming StarCraft is one of the hardest things in the world, right? Remember when Hearthstone came out and all those StarCraft people were like, hey, we were StarCraft streamers and now we're streaming this card game where I can just like read chat 80% of the time. And I remember having my mind blown as someone who'd mostly consumed StarCraft content up to that point. I was like, this guy can read everything in chat.
Yep.
He's just like, he's making copy pastas while he plays the competitive game at the high level. Oh, this is like the ultimate Twitch experience for the viewers who want to interact and aren't as hardcore, which is most viewers. So I think StarCraft has this kind of niche place where there is a certain amount of the viewers who are on the same, I think, viewers as me and Nate and a few other people who are like, no, we want to see close matches. You know, like Dan was saying, you know, who wants to see someone just get bodied? I always give the example of like, this is like watching, you know, and you've got like a child fighting like a UFC fighter in some of these games. It's like, oh, look at how he picked him up and like ripped his head off. Like, wasn't that so cool? And it's like, yeah, it's like sometimes there's an unconventional strategy, but for me, like I've always found it way more exciting when someone makes something unconventional work at a high level. Like I remember 6 months ago or something, I ran into Estrella when he was getting back into the ladder.
Yeah.
Built cannons outside my natural in a PvP and disruptor sieged me. And it was like the sickest, weirdest thing. It killed me. And I was like, oh, this is kind of embarrassing. This is hilarious because he's made it work for someone at his own level. And, you know, there's this guy called B-Lord on the ladder. He spine crawler rushed me with queens yesterday and took down my wall in Protoss vs. Zerg. And I'm like, you know, this is cool because I think definitely to a viewer who's not as into the game, they maybe can't tell the difference. For them, it's just, hey, there's a new unit that I don't normally see being used in this matchup. That's cool. And I'm going to always try and advocate and educate my audience and be like, actually, it's way more impressive if I pull this off against that guy at 6K MMR this one time, even if I fail 3 times trying to make it work, because you guys are going to like see me trying to make this unconventional thing work in a competitive scenario. So I think for me, I'm not going to go on a crusade saying, guys, boycott these people's streams who smurf, fuck them up. And that's why I guess like there are times where I've had little salty outbursts. You know, I've had little times where I get a bit angry, like Nathanias did, and it's always unfortunate when this gets clipped and thrown on Reddit and people start all, you know, piling on. I think for me in my own little corner of the streaming world, it's just going to be, I'm going to teach my viewers about why what I think I'm doing is better than them. I know that sounds cocky and silly, but I'm just going to be like, I think this is better because this is harder what I'm doing, and people are still going to enjoy that other content, and I'm still going to be friendly with Winter, and I love Parting's stream. I think he's one of the funniest streamers ever, even though I disagree with this one thing he does. I think he's hilarious, you know? So yeah, that's my 2 cents. It's like, I don't like it. I look down on it, and I invite more people to look down on it with me and to hopefully get less streamers to do it. It's a losing battle, but I mean, I'm kind of a StarCraft purist, I guess, just like Dan was saying. So I'm more idealistic than realistic in my outlook on this game. So that's me.
Yeah, I think just go ahead, Dan.
I was going to say, it seems like such a gigantic waste of time for the player that's better. Like, I don't know, I always look at StarCraft as something I'm trying to improve at. So I look at that, and I do see, like, a silver lining, right? If Parting is gonna smash you...
Dan, I'd almost cut you off, though, like, because your point, in my opinion, is irrelevant in that it's not the player. There's nobody that's not streaming that's doing this for practice. It's the streaming aspect. Like, Parting does it for streaming.
No. I understand that, but what I'm saying is, like, you actually learn more if you get smashed in a game than if you have a close game, even though close games we'd find to be more fun. So, I mean, it can be a good learning aspect if you can kind of withdraw yourself from that.
I've been watching your stream, Dan.
Oh, no, I know. I'm a salty, angry player.
I thought you were going to get up on a horse that does not exist for a second there.
No, but at the same time, if Rain wants to smurf me on Brood War and kill me,
you'll learn a lot.
I'll get angry, but I'll definitely learn the early holes in my build order, Jeff.
I feel like that's not the response we'd get. Let me give you a couple of my favorite lines from the last Artosis stream that I watched. You can be so fucking bad and still win with Protoss, he says.
Does anyone disagree with me on this?
The game, by the way, was a 0 scout Artosis who got 4 DTs dropped on his 1.5 tanks that he had while he was taking his third. And I'm sitting there in the chat, and I'm just like, this is it. This is what I'm here for. There's like a wind tunnel of just feel good, like. And that's where I would leave with this, by the way. Like, we laugh, and Dan's, of course, correct anyways. You can learn from your losses. But the only thing I would leave with Nate is, Nate, we love you like a brother, but you do have to watch the salt, because this drama, like, I agree with Pig, I agree with what we're saying. It sucks to play against Parting, and that sucks. But you said stuff in the thread, like he's sending his viewers to harass me, and then someone's like, he didn't do that at all. And Nate's like, well, I don't know. I don't fucking watch his stream. And we're like, well... It feels like you pull out your like salt pistols and you're like, I'm upset. Like the shit that starts coming out, it's really bad. Nate one time kind of raged at Rotterdam for doing this, and it's like he doesn't do that at all. He has multiple accounts, and he's like trying on each account to win. He doesn't leave leagues and like play fake names and not tell his opponent who he is. And my favorite part about all of this, by the way, is that one of the only guys that we're talking about that actually has a barcode account. Let me check my Nate fact keeper. Oh, it is Nathanias. Nathanias has a barcode account. And Nathanias was the guy that used to rush battlecruisers when they were cheesy as fuck and broken as shit. And I wouldn't know this because I'm facing just another random North American Terran player until all of a sudden 6 battlecruisers are on top of my base. And I'm like, oh, it's Nate. And Nate's like, sup, bitch? I'm like, all right. Well, we'll have a whole episode talking about barcodes and why that's terrible for the ladder. But until that day, for now, I leave you with this. I love you like a brother, like I said. And Nate is one of the best goddamn hosts in the business. So hopefully the salt continues to not flow quite as strong.
One tiny side thing, too.
Yes.
When people get really angry or emotional, it means that they care. So people shouldn't be so hard. That's like, if they're just like, and they just turn off their PC and walk out and, you know, they go outside and jump rope or something. It's like that. They don't really care. Yeah. Nate cares and wants to do well. And so it's frustrating. Starcraft is a brutal game.
It is a brutal game.
There's something funny as well, because Parting is such an entertaining streamer in that unique way where, you know, his signature move is fingers to the camera, right? While shouting "fuck you." My antagonist is Dick Boy.
It's a very classy signature move.
It attracts a certain niche of audience, right? So there's a certain amount of people who they like the drama. So I totally get what Nate would have experienced right after those games, especially if you let a bit of salt out. I've had like games with Parting, and like no matter what happens in those games, the fanboys will hop over to your channel and tell you about how you know he slapped you around. Like they're like, but no, like did you see the bit though where he did the thing? And you're like, yeah, I did see when he stormed my whole mineral line. Like, thanks for coming to my channel to tell me that, guy whose name I've never seen in my channel before. And there'll always be like a little wave of this after you play him. And I remember I had a little rant about it a few months ago, and it got clipped and went around a little bit. And I was like, it's true though. Like, but then the opposite happens if you beat Parting, which doesn't happen anymore. It happened for a little bit back when, you know, he just came back. So it never happens to anyone. No one beats him anymore, pretty much. And they would come and they'd be super like, oh my God, you beat our God. And they'd be super nice and friendly. So it's just like this very kind of loud and emotional group of people. And I'm sure if you're feeling a bit salty, you know, it can feel like they're harassing you, but maybe if they see you being salty, they probably might start harassing you. So I don't think Parting would have been like, everyone go hop in Nate's stream and harass him, but I think it's understandable how Nate reacted at the same time. So, I don't think we should also be downvoting Reddit comments, guys. Seriously.
That's the dumbest. I had
the same experience as Dan. Like,
I
had to
Dan's experience with
that thread, man. It's so silly. It's like, people still don't understand how Reddit works, right? And of course, it never will. Human psychology, but it's like, no. You downvote when it's got nothing to do with the topic. When this is like an integral part of the discussion, it's like, this is how conversation happens. And like, people in 2018 are like, this is how conversation happens? I thought you just shout at the other person and you try to like silence them and they try to silence you. And you do as much as possible to ignore each other because this is how the internet works. And we're like, yeah, Reddit does seem like a good place to have reasoned discussion, guys. Maybe we should go back to 140 character Twitter as well. I mean, I don't know. It's just funny looking at the way people decide to talk about things. We get a bit emotional. We try to shout each other down a little bit too much, I think.
Agreed. So we all have to take a page from Zergirl's book and just kind of smile at them calmly and be like, I'm sorry you're having a bad day, and then move on.
That would probably actually get them so much harder, too.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they leave. They're like, oh, shit.
More ways than one, Dan. Our next... Go ahead. Yeah, what do you got, Kevin?
Oh, I wanted to add something else. Pig was talking about people using unusual builds for these Bronze to GM runs. I saw Puck actually doing, I don't know if you guys saw it, he was doing Bronze to GM Pro Brush, and he actually, I think, got into GM. I think he's like sitting around 5.5K right now. Mm-hmm. He beat like a 6K Terran with Pro Brush as well. So I was thinking, what do you guys think about that? People who use only unusual builds.
Was that like a fresh account, or did he like start from Bronze? Was it, or? I
think it was his. Main account, and he just. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was on his main account.
It was insane to watch.
He was playing 4.8K people, and then he went up to like 5.5K ish.
That's like totally fine, but in my book, I find like if someone's doing something that silly and the games are that quick, like, and they're starting maybe just below their MMR or on a fresh account, like I don't mind that at all. I think that's pretty all right. If I lose,
Cat's made a whole career out of it. Yeah,
well. So it's bad on a fresh account for you?
I think it's okay on a fresh account. I think it's bad if you grab a viewer's account who's in Bronze, or if you purposely level it down to Bronze, because it takes like 50 games to get back to like above 5K MMR if you're like really low.
I get what you're saying though, Kathy. It is of this similar vein. I think that's what makes this an interesting conversation. It is still a better player, handicapping themselves a little bit, but probably not enough, and still beating on worse players. I kind of default to what we talked about, which is just like, it isn't illegal. It's mostly for streaming, and it does work. So with those three things as facts, we cannot like it. I think that, and I do agree with Dan, I come from a purist background too, where people are like, hey, Jeff, you want to play Big Game Hunters? I'm like, no, I don't, because I spend all day playing the hardest form of this game I can, and that's all I enjoy. So I understand that there are different ways to experience a game and enjoy it. I do err closer on the side of Nate, though, of course, where, like, if you're fucking up people's day, like partying against, like, you know, not even Nate's not even the best example, but there's other guys along the way who stand 0% chance and are getting destroyed. Kind of sucks. It's not like it's the biggest crime of the day. It's just, you know, I think it's, if someone's like, hey, fuck you, I think he deserves it a little bit. Tell him fuck you. All right. So we'll wait. Nate and Parting should be playing the ladder. I think tomorrow Nate's streaming, so make sure and check that out. We'll, of course, come up with a follow-up. But our next subject is it's the new map pool. And this map pool is going to be what is played at BlizzCon, as far as I understand. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But they're out. They've been around. Pig, how have you been enjoying them? Dan, have you looked at them? And Kathy, I'm not sure if you've been playing any ladder, but if you have, what do you guys think?
Let me see.
It's okay if you don't. Dan, you haven't played Starcraft 2 in a while, right? You've been all Brood War.
Yeah, I've been heavy into the Brood War lately, but I have been looking at the maps, and we did actually just rotate Blue Shift into GSL, so we're starting to see that played a little bit. My first impression of these maps is they are beautiful.
Yes.
Like the Starcraft 2 maps at this point, these map makers are just making maps that, like, whether you like the layout of the map or not, it is so aesthetically pleasing.
Yes. Every
single map that pops on ladder at this point. So that's super cool. But yeah, I haven't played these actual new maps yet, so I don't want to get too deep into it. Although I have been seeing Redshift games at least.
You know, I haven't heard any crazy complaints just yet, but it's very early days, right? And it does take a little bit, but I've vetoed the old map. So we got rid of Redshift, right? So do we even have a designated rush map in the pool, or is Dreamcatcher kind of
there's definitely one. What's it called? It's the ice one. It's really small. Fracture.
We're calling Fracture a rush map? Okay. Yeah, I guess it's a short rush, but it's not like crazy though, like a Arena or like a Yonsu back in the day or anything like that, right? Like it's
like
It's a decent sized map. I personally love the aesthetic. I think Parasite is beautiful, and I think it has a really interesting layout, which I'm looking forward to exploring.
Yeah.
I was playing Nate today on it. Nate wrecked me.
Excuse me?
On that map? Actually, he wrecked me on Fracture, I believe.
Was he on the correct MMR?
Yeah, what was his MMR when he played you, by the way?
I believe it was about 5,400.
Was it his barcode or is it his?
It was his main account.
Oh, wow.
Nate a 5,500 Terran player?
If we played on the AU server, then we may have had some more drama.
Well,
clips.
you got to drag him over there to that, don't you? That's how it works, right?
Yeah, I've purposely. The problem is I've actually got a good internet now. I've got to reinstall my old tin can with like a wire connecting it to the the internet office down the street.
Hey,
it's
mate,
in a tree.
getting a bit lazy back there. Spin the wheel.
It's a koala holding a router just in a gum tree. That's how we get the internet going. Unfortunately, I upgraded to this cable thing.
Oh shit!
And now I don't get put on the AU server that much. I don't know. It's crazy.
Sucks.
So unfortunately, I don't get to bring out Nate's favorite server too much. But back on the maps, they're pretty damn good. I like them. I play random, so everyone asks me all day in Twitch chat, like, "Oh, what do you think of the new maps? You know, you play all the races. You should have a balanced perspective." And I'm always like, "Yeah, give me 3 weeks, guys, until I've actually played each matchup on each map." I play 9 matchups, so it takes me literally weeks before I've even had any repeat experiences on the map. So I think they look good. No one's been crying about anything yet. It's good aesthetics, pretty straightforward. Blue Shift. We saw yesterday Raynor versus Maru on that map, and that is the map which I saw Rotterdam looking at the maps with Gemini E-Mini on his screen and on his stream, and they were talking about how it's Catalyst rotated. If you rotate that map, it looks exactly like Catalyst, and people have been complaining about that a bit. But I think the weird rocks kind of cutting off the center with this crazy double, triple hedge through the middle actually creates an interesting format. So that path down the middle, you're like stuck in there until those rocks go down on the sides. So yeah, it's a cool map.
There's no low ground bases in the middle there on Blue Shift, so it's not exactly Catalyst. Like I see what they meet the paths, but it's definitely a bit different.
Absolutely.
I've been enjoying it. I think one of the funniest, and this has always been true, by the way, across the universe of StarCraft, if maps are ever released and you don't hear anything, it's fucking fantastic. It's like one of the best map pools you've ever seen. This was released, like anytime there's a bad map, your first opponent will tell you about it. Like, hey, how about that fucking such and such, right? Terrible. And I'll be like, yeah, it is. All right, anyways, good luck, have fun. You're like, yeah, okay. But with this map pool, pretty good. I have no maps vetoed. They're all pretty solid. I guess the only complaint I would have, but it's really only a personal one, is we're getting, there's no weird map like a Redshift. I actually kind of enjoy, now that I'm not a pro gamer, lol, watching these pro gamers struggle on those maps, but at the same time with the formats that we have in all our tournaments, it just ends up being, you never see it except for once in an odd series, and then at the end of the tournament when they're forced to play on it, and that can kind of, it makes for good games, but it can jeopardize the results because the guys don't really play that map.
Yeah, we've seen that a few times with like some of those really crazy maps. It comes out only in the semis or the finals, and the player's like, yeah, I never played this map. Got to make some stuff up. And you're like, oh, if that's the deciding one in like a close series, it can get really weird. I'm personally a little bit sad because those kind of memey, kind of trolly rush maps, people always get really angry about them, and I always have fun giving it like a bit of a nickname. We had Dan's Game Station, Red Shit, as I like to call it, I like to resonate with the latter player's experience.
It's a little too real.
Wow. I'm a witty guy. I go for the high class humor.
Yeah.
Definitely don't go for the bottom class Twitch chat 8-year-old doo-doo jokes. We would never do that. But I mean, look, I'm looking at these maps. I'm like, oh man, I've really got to wait for like Maru or someone to do something really abusive before I can find the map to hone in on that everyone's complaining about, and then we'll find a good nickname. It's there. It's just waiting.
Something's there. Kath, have you played these at all?
No, not really. I did play a bit of ladder when the maps were released on accident.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you guys heard about that, but yeah, I only played on Cerulean, and I liked it. I don't really have much to add about the map, because I'm just the co-op scrub now. But yeah, Cerulean seemed fine to me.
You'll be back. You'll be back to the ladder, and then
I'll be back.
Then we'll know. But I just have to agree with Dan said. They're just gorgeous maps. I like that they're different tile sets as well. By the way, there was actually a time where you didn't really have the full scope of all the tile sets because there was some graphical concerns and like processing. But Legacy of the Void runs so damn smooth. It's been really good. That's it. That's it for maps. It did just happen, so I didn't expect this to be a big topic. That's okay, but it's kind of more putting it out there for everybody else. Next topic, and we won't spend too much time on this either, is the QLASH or Clash Starcraft 2 Invitational that has been going on, which is a storm of Zerg.
A lot of Zerg players with gigantic groups where everyone plays each other. Casted by Rotterdam, Wardy, and Rhett. But looks like Cyril is dominating. 4-0 so far. 12-1 map score. Second place right now is 2-2 in his group.
Holy crap, he's 12-1.
8-7 map score. So this is, I guess, this is becoming a very interesting tournament just because we get to see over the course of many weeks and many matches against many top players, what kind of map score will Cyril have at the end compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, 12-1 is no laughing matter. I mean, that's, yeah, it looks pretty cool. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. But I haven't been watching those games yet, so.
It is an invitational, so every time I look at it, I'm like, how? Why? I know I'm like obsessed, guys, but it's got 10 of 16 are Zerg. Like, how do you ever fucking do that? Ever in a million years let that happen? Yeah. Okay.
I feel bad for the lower tier Zerg players, but I would, if I was making an invitational tournament, sorry guys, you wouldn't be invited.
No, it's like 5, 5, and 6 or something is what I pretty much do. Anyways, so check that out. Roddy's been tweeting it out, but you can also follow Clash on Twitter and stuff like that, and it continues. More games to be had. Next topic is and this will be quick as well, because I guarantee you none of us know anything about it, the Copa America recap. Did you pick this topic, Dan? You son of a bitch.
No, I did not, but, well, Jeff, did you look at the bracket? Don't look at the bracket.
No.
You didn't look?
I have not seen anything.
I want you to guess who won it.
Is it not special is what happened here? It's going to be Chan.
No, it is special.
God damn it.
I want you to guess who he beat in the finals.
Well, it's not Kalazer, because he's in Korea and doing weird stuff.
Jim
no,
Rising?
It's Kalazer. Jeff, you're overthinking this.
I am!
Who got third place, Jeff?
It's Chan, isn't it?
There you go.
Oh my God.
Don't overthink things, okay?
I literally did not look at anything, and I actually just called it out. It's so funny. You know what's funny too is they actually have some players that are pretty okay. It's just literally those three are head and shoulders better than the rest, and the rest are okay. Like Paco Mike is a mid GM player in NA. Eric has had some success in the past. I believe he was a Brood War player. He's pretty good.
Yeah. Half-Breed's name has been popping up here and there. I mean, yeah, these are totally decent players, but those three are like world-class players. So
can someone someone in the chat, literally, I don't know what I'll do. I'll gift a sub to you or something. Someone tell me how much money Special has won. That's going to be the easy part. And then I want you to tell me how much money he's won from specifically Latin American competition, like Copa America, but all the stuff that happens there.
And then if you want to break it down more, how much just from beating Kelliger as a percentage of that? Because that's been rough.
Oh, fuck. B-Lord is actually Peruvian. Oh, wow. He's pretty good. He's like mid-GM, too. 20 pesos. Get out of here. That's wrong.
Yeah, Joppy's pretty good. Eggs, These guys have all actually been improving over the years. So it's kind of cool whenever a scene has like a consistent regional comp. You kind of see just the level steadily rise up.
It's like a mini WCS thing, right? Like because they have something to play for and they have so much attention, it's growing. It's really cool.
Exactly.
And,
that always happens.
This happened in StarCraft 1 as well, where like right at the beginning we didn't have a ton of really great Latin America and South American players, but over time they just kept getting better, and to this day some of the best non-Korean players.
Someone brings up a really good point in the chat, though, and you are the kind of viewer that I love. Zergtroll asks, how many pizzas has he won, though? And that is...
It's a good question.
That's the kind of hard...
I think it's only United States that can play in that, though, right?
Well, GG. So that's the Copa America. We do love it, by the way. I was just mostly laughing, and then Dan, being the amazing guy that he is, knew exactly what I was getting at, and that is that the results seem pretty fixed every time. But we got two big topics. Well, one big topic, and then our weekly shout-out to Brood War, which lasts about 2 minutes. And then we'll go ahead and get into the Discord Q&A. But GSL Group A just concluded last night for you Koreans and everybody else. For me, it was at like 4 a.m., but that was a sick group with some crazy interesting results.
Yes, indeed. Raynor almost beat Maru in the winner's match. Like, he was up in game 2 after winning game 1. It really looked like he could win that, and maybe just a couple small mistakes from Raynor with the Ling counterattack, and then maybe some sloppy play trying to finish Maru. But Maru, like, turned on God mode, started proxying barracks, won the group, and then it came down to Neeb Raynor for that final spot, and Neeb was playing pretty god tier after getting wrecked by Maru in the first match of the night. So
PVZ looked good,
we have another non-Korean player in the round of 8. Apparently, the way that we are doing the brackets, he will be playing the winner of Group B, which is considered by many to be the group of death, the Dark Kumiho Rogue Innovation Group. So that's a tough match, but it's really exciting just to have a non-Korean in that round of 8 again.
Yeah,
those were some good games. I want to just give a little mention because I was watching the whole thing, and it's been cool to see Raynor develop. I'm not going to be saying Raynor is as good as Serral right now. I'm not that much on the hype train, but what it's really impressive about his play is he kind of has this. I don't know if it's because he's young or he's just confident, but I feel like he doesn't play very afraid. Like, he seems very confident, taking a lot of calculated risks in his play. Down a map against Impact, a very wild Zerg, and he was going for these Ling upgrade muta plays where you're a little bit low on units, but he's playing to the map. On Dreamcatcher, he's breaking down rocks to cut off roach pushes and things. And the first game on Catalyst, where he was way behind against Impact, and he played like a very clean game from behind. And obviously, like you've been saying it, Dan, he's the Zergling master. He's just kind of whispering to his Zerglings. They're so active. They're constantly looking for damage. So I think it was very cool to see Raynor almost not get shaken at all in that first series. And definitely, it's kind of unfortunate how game 3 happened. I'm sure I wasn't reading Twitch chat. I can imagine full foreigner, choke throw. He took a calculated risk. He was like, nah, Maru's not going to proxy Rex. Wasn't expecting it. He went like super fast third hatch before Queens, which is like a really greedy opening against Terran. And it's like literally a build order loss. Like, he was just so screwed. The bunker's already started and Marines are shooting his hatchery before he had any vision of what was going on. But I kind of like that he was like, no, I'm just going to take like a bit of a gamble here, see if I can get like a little economic edge early. So hats off to Raynor for playing like that. And then Neeb for just absolutely shutting out the Zerg players in that group. Like, Neeb just looked so calculated, so clean. Very impressive play from Neeb. Didn't get into his element against Maru. But overall, I think Neeb, if he can play against Rogue or Dark, we could have a very interesting match in the round of 8. I think he could do okay against Innovation as well. Gumiho might cause him problems because he has also such an unorthodox style, but I think no one can really proxy like Maru. So I think Neeb definitely has a shot to show us some very good games. He's a little bit hot and cold lately, but if the games go into the place where he's mentally prepared, he's like one of the absolute best. So it's a little bit of a dice roll for me on how Neeb's going to perform, but very cool to see him in the round of 8. I'm excited.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was fun to watch, but it's like so funny because once again, I made it till about 3 a.m. or 4, then I passed out, and I had just watched, I believe it was Raynor lose the first game of his series, and it was like not very good, so I was like, well, they're just going to get beat. And he goes on to win that. And then and then he has a good series against Maru. So good showing by these guys. That's really cool. And I have to agree with a lot of what you said about Neeb. He is so hard to be a fan of, I find, because it's like, and not for any character flaws or anything like that. Like, it's just purely from a like, I think he's got a chance, because sometimes he looks fucking incredible, and then sometimes when a guy gets under his skin mentally or whatever it is, it does not look good. Like, Maru didn't look like the better player per se. He just looked like he knew how to unravel Neeb, and like everything he tried just, 3 Widow Mines blowing up his entire Phoenix fleet, but before that, there's a lot of harass. It was just working. It's tough. If the right Neep shows up, we could have a round of 4 foreigner, though, but it's hard.
The round of 4 overlaps with WCS Montreal. I assume they would just move it because that's so hype, but just saying.
That's interesting.
So that's GSL, Code S. Make sure you watch on Saturday for Group B, the Group of Death. Suneeb's going to play in that next round.
That'll be cool. All right, last topic, the KSL update with Mr. Artosis.
Yes, indeed. We are in the exciting territory of the tournament where we are eliminating people. We're going into decider matches actually tonight and tomorrow. So we're going to finish up this round of 16. And this is where stuff is starting to really move fast, right? So, for instance, tonight we're going to have Mini versus Last and Sharp versus C. Winner goes to the round of 8 and loser is out. And then tomorrow, the rematch, Light versus Jadong and Best versus Stork. So some really ridiculously legendary players going to be going at it. The Light Jadong, I know everyone's excited about. Jadong was actually showing some confidence despite the fact that Light seems to be the best TVZ player in the world right now, maybe even better than Flash. So
get out of here.
KSL is kind of killing it right now for excitement, I think. It's pretty awesome, and especially with ASL starting up again very soon. We're kind of getting like a lot of good Brood War.
Has ASL still only on Africa, right? It's not going to be streamed on Twitch this season, is it?
YouTube in Africa.
Let me say this because I keep getting... apparently the prize reward of offering to sub one of you guys to some channel has been incredible. I've had like 6 guys message, like spam the chat, and now they're in the Discord with random numbers. They're all different numbers, guys. So I'm sorry. I'm pulling the prize pool. Fuck off. Like, nobody's getting anything. If you feel really strongly about it, let me know. I definitely will sub you to a channel or something, but there's no fucking way. I was like, someone tell me this number. People are like, 35,000, 40,000. No, it's 243,000. No, it's 70. I just did the math. It's 65,000. Jeff, it's 35 for sure. And I'm like, guys, look, it's so fucking weird how many numbers I'm getting thrown at me that there's no way you guys are right. So, fuck off. All right. Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, Parting. Thank you very much.
Well, I mean, that line is me to Parting.
Well, I mean, that's about it so far for KSL. I mean, I guess to review last week just slightly, because the day that we have this, there's always 2 days afterwards. 3 Protosses and a Zerg won their groups. And, so there you go.
6 City.
That's it. Watch tonight, KSL.
6 City. But I do appreciate you guys, by the way. I don't actually mean fuck off from a place of anger. It's from a place of love. I love you guys. So that is the show's...
I don't mean that from anger.
Some people can't tell, man. I like laugh and smile afterwards. I'm like, Jesus, what's got him so mad? I'm like, what? I don't... Anyways, oh my God, Cobra. You have to show that picture. Damn, this is... All right, just real quick, guys. Wow. It's a good-looking dog. Wearing a good shirt. Kathy, your thoughts? Thank you. That's it. That's good. Thank you very much. All right, so we're going to get into the Q&A now. And I'll tell you what. Don't tell me that old Poppy Jeff doesn't listen to you guys. Some people didn't like that I was reading these questions with a little bit of a silly tone, so I'll try to keep it much more serious and respectful, okay? That being said, if I do get a little bit silly, please try and, one guy he got really upset, and I don't feel bad about it at all, but like I almost got there. So I'll take it over, Cobra. We'll do the okay, it's just after this. Yep, that's right. So we're gonna go through these, okay? Pretty quick. Try to keep the answers under 5 minutes or whatever, because there's a lot of them. This is the part of the show. You guys didn't know this, but it's like a 2-hour show, but the questions, it's about 4 hours. David Klain. Would you rather be driven mad by being bestowed knowledge of all things by Yog Sothoth, lurker at the threshold, opener of the way, and one and all, or keep your sanity but be given the responsibility of keeping Azathoth, the blind idiot god, and Daemon Sultan asleep for the rest of your life, lest he awake and destroy us all, of course. Kathy, go ahead.
Can you repeat that? What?
I will repeat it one more time. Would you rather be driven mad by being bestowed knowledge of all things by Yog Sothoth, lurker of the threshold, opener of the way, and one and all, or Keep your sanity, but be given the responsibility of keeping Azathoth, the blind idiot god, and demon sultan asleep for the rest of your life?
Probably put the demon god to sleep.
Fantastic answer. I agree with that one. Yep, that's it. Utaroop asks, hello, I have a question for In Control. Marry, fuck, kill. Dan, Nick, Barristan the Bold. This is tough. This is really tough because where I live, it's actually illegal to have sex with my dog or to marry it because I believe that, is the same. So I guess kill Barristan, which is like, it's really not okay. But I would absolutely marry Dan because the best part about that is that, that includes the other part and, I think we'd be great partners. And then I would just... Nick and I would raw dog the crap out of each other. It'd be fine. All right, Milo asks, will we ever get Barristan Cam on the Pylon Show or as a guest on the show? Maybe. Anything's possible. One thing on that, by the way, he's actually snoring. You guys can't hear him, right?
No, I don't hear him.
No.
Don't hear any crickets either. It's really quiet.
Well, Dan, my lizard's dead, so there won't be any cricket sounds for a while.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. That wound is healed a little while ago. No, Barristan. Oh, yeah. There it is, actually. We got a Barristan Cam right there for you. That's my dog. And today he's snoring quietly. That's it. So some people are actually upset about that. Oh, yeah. I was going to speak to that real quick. If I put Barristan out of the room, by the way, he'll bark at the door. Like, he's never not by my side. So if you're like, well, that's all I need to hear to know that I'm never watching your show again, then fair enough. Now you guys have all the answers. All right, Cobra. Let me pull up that screen again so I can do the next question. All right. Benjadeth. As an SOS fanboy for life, I'm hoping he takes this season of GSL. What do y'all think his chances are? Jared.
Sorry, I phased out for a
SOS's
second.
chances to win the GSL.
I'm going to give a precise answer. I have crunched the numbers, as you would, of course, demand for an answer of this caliber, Jeff. I'd say about 36.4%. He's coming in as a bit of a underdog because, people are thinking about stats right now. They're thinking about other people. That's exactly when SOS shines. When you forget SOS is standing in the room, that's when he slides the knife in between the ribs.
Oh, damn.
So he's ready.
Dan,
it's got a good chance.
Is this your overhype moment, or are you sleeping on SOS?
This is a good question, and I think Jared gave a good answer.
Oh wow.
I don't actually think SOS is going to take the season. I would love to see it. I really want him at another BlizzCon because I think that's the type of tournament he shines in a bit more.
Yeah.
I really want to see him in one of these big ass weekend tournaments again, like BlizzCon. But yeah, I don't know. Right now, with the lineup we have, I'm looking at Rogue.
What is the super tournament, by the way? Who plays in that?
Super tournament? Yeah, it'll just be like a qualifier. So basically, we'll have 2 seeds into it, the first and second place of a GSL. That's normally how we do it, is the 2 seeds and then 14 people qualify in. And then it's just a 4-day tournament that we're going to have. It's going to be after GSL finals by a few weeks or something. Cool. Not sure the exact date.
Pulse asks, with the WCS region lock, we saw a great improvement in the foreign scene, both in viewership and skill. We now have a lot of Europeans and Americans taking maps and games off of Koreans, but we only really have one woman competing professionally. We know that gaming is usually hostile to women, and it's a big turnoff for them when they are confronted with sexist comments such as, let me just thank you for giving us examples. This is... You play well for a girl, or women are not fit for games, which is actually what Kathy said she heard. That's fucking incredible. Was it from Pulse? And that sexism might be the biggest reason why we don't have more female players and streamers. My question is, what can we do both as players and tournament organizers to make the StarCraft community more welcoming to women, to encourage female players to improve and compete? If we apply that same logic behind the region lock and promote women's tournaments, do you think we could improve it? I'd love to get Zombie Grub's perspective on this, but I'm not sure if she'll be the guest this week. She was not. But Kathy, do you have any? And I'll give you the disclaimer now. You don't have to speak on behalf of all women, but for you in particular, is there anything that a tournament could do to be more welcoming to females, or anything like that you think of?
Yeah, I don't think they should do anything extra. I do see the female-only tournaments around, and I do see a lot of the participants getting flack from that. But it's more about the community, because there was like a recent female tournament that Zombie Grub has been organizing, and we actually have a Discord, and everyone just like hangs out there and talks to each other. It's not only about like just, well, it's like to build the community. It's nice to have like a safe space, I suppose. I never really got into that sort of stuff, but I can see the appeal of it for other women.
Okay. Thank you. And if that Pulse, if you have more thoughts about that, we can definitely make it a topic or something like that in the future. I do think at some point 3 white guys talking about what will get women into tournaments might look pretty bad, so we'll have to have more of a female panel or something. Bradadia, I hope I said your name even closely, says, how do you feel about the, in my opinion, seemingly odd fascination with nostalgia in the StarCraft community? Seems like StarCraft fans have an obsession with people who have made little, if any, StarCraft content in the last few years. Old names like Husky or Day9 seem to hold these immortal, deity-like even positions in our community, regardless of the fact that they no longer primarily support the community, or in this case of Husky, not at all. Is this lingering nostalgia healthy for the scene as a whole? Do you think it undermines the efforts of current content creators? For example, news of Husky's YouTube being canceled, among other things, less attention, that kind of... Anyways, what do you guys think?
I am going to take this one. So,
yeah, please do.
I mean, let's start by going down a line here. You guys liked GoldenEye?
Fuck yeah.
Nintendo 64?
Yeah.
Yeah, great game. When was the last time you played it?
Oh, it can't be played anymore. After
yeah.
The graphics are the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Have you ever tried? Do you remember what it was like controlling, like trying to aim on that thing?
I can't believe that I used to squat down and aim with that shit. I can't imagine.
Yeah, and yeah, in my mind as well, it's like this nostalgic, amazing game I had so much fun with growing up, right? And that's nostalgia in general, but especially with the story of StarCraft. I guess there's the added thing of there was like a little golden age of StarCraft where we were top dog, and that's an esports wide thing where people who are weird enough, especially maybe 10 years ago or more, where esports was a lot more smaller, people were very excited whenever there was any validation or exposure. We still are generally as a community, but it used to be even more so. So when StarCraft was like the top dog and suddenly all these people were kind of having this new wave of enthusiasm due to streaming becoming widespread, it just made sense that like it was this thing where I think a lot of people who are not super hardcore into the game, they don't go into a Discord and find practice partners and join a clan and play clan wars. So they didn't have that community, which some of us still have. We hop on and we play games with our friends. We're watching the Pylon show with Dan and Jeff on it every week, and I listen to it, on my podcast while I'm going to sleep or whatever. A lot of people they're not that involved. And there was a time, I think, in StarCraft where you could run into so many people that liked StarCraft, and so many people watched StarCraft. I remember going to a Barcraft in my city, and there were 600 people there or something. It was like insane. Like there's multiple levels of this bar were so crowded, and it was something where day to day you'd hear people talking about StarCraft because it just had this little cultural phase for a few years. And I think people just are especially nostalgic because of that. They felt like they were part of something bigger, and only I guess the more hardcore people hung on to that throughout StarCraft 2's entire history. Like I never lost that, of course, because I've been doing this full time and I've been surrounded by pros and passionate people. But I also think in the last 2 years we've started to have that rebuild a little bit. It's still a smaller thing, but like there's just something, and it's all these little things with like the community management totally changing with how Blizzard run all their games, actually promoting things in the launcher, creating co-op as this accessible thing where if you're a dad or a mom and you've got kids and you've come home from your 9 to 5 and you've got an hour to play video games, you know what? Co-op is sometimes a much, much, much more attractive option than queuing up 2 ladder games, losing them both, one of them with a guy mass ravens and planetary fortresses, and then you're like, bam, bunch the keyboard and walk away. So I think StarCraft's just become a bit more of a diverse, friendly space, and it's also kind of just we're starting to embrace, I think, new content creators more, and people are making their own spaces. So I feel like month to month, the nostalgia is still there, but it's not as prescient. It's not like right in everyone's face. And there's these new fan bases popping up, and there's people like Base Trade who started in 2013, late 2012. People like Winter who came up around the same time. Those guys weren't really there until the end of the Golden Age. so to speak, of StarCraft, and a lot of other people have built their name since then. I've been lucky enough to have my stream kind of blossom in the last year. So I think StarCraft's in a pretty nice place. I don't think it hurts to be nostalgic, but I definitely think it's really cool that people are starting to discover all the new content creators.
Really good answer.
It's a nice time to be a StarCraft fan.
Dan, Kathy? Anything to add?
No, good.
Well, I would say, like, definitely Pig said some good stuff, but very specifically, like, I think that this is brought up because of the Husky thing. And definitely you see people that are always like, oh, yeah, I missed Day 9 or whatever. I think it's good to remember them and you enjoyed their stuff. That's great. Everything from the past is always remembered differently than it actually was. That's just something, especially when you get further from it, people remember. The amount of people that talk about the old GSL seasons being better, go back, watch those games. You're going to vomit in your mouth. It's terrible. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. I mean, we should remember and appreciate what Husky and Day 9 have done for StarCraft. And,
yeah.
And I mean, God, you shouldn't be upset that it's on the top of the StarCraft Reddit. It's not like it's going to be there every week. We're going to be talking about Husky every week. But he deleted his YouTube channel. That's news. It's something people care about and used to care about him a lot. And to put it up there, that makes a lot of sense. And I hope that nothing will ever be so cutthroat that, like, oh, Artosis, you know, in 100 years, right? Well, I mean, Artosis died. He doesn't do StarCraft anymore. But then, like, all my YouTube videos get deleted or something. I hope that I can maybe have a thread on the top of StarCraft Reddit for 2 days without people being like, should we really do this? He's not even alive. Like, what are, you know, he hasn't made content in a while or something. He retired, whatever it is, you know, there's nothing wrong with thinking about Husky and, you know, the videos he made and people kind of reminiscing. It's not going to last that long.
It's 200 years, by the way, Dan. You're going to die in 200 years. Brad Adia, by the way, ends with something. The only thing I want to add, he says, and he touched on something that we kind of joke about a little bit, and do talk about in sensitive ways. When you talk about the nostalgic people, does it take away from the attention of the people that are still contributing, that kind of thing? I don't think it takes away from their attention. You'll hear a little pang of like, yeah, you're a big Husky fanboy or whatever, because StarCraft just has that like huge. There's so much passion, there's so much work going into it, and there are people that are like, I've been here for a decade, and that's a long time. That's amazing. So when you like, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like asking someone about their ex-girlfriend, like, or boyfriend. It's a little bit, you know, yeah, I'll talk about it, but I don't really, I kind of want to talk about it. Like, yeah, I heard they're doing really great. They're like really beautiful these days. How are you doing? You're like, fuck you a little bit. You know, like, all right. Anyways, next question. Washburn asks, could there be a place in competitive play for truly asymmetrical maps? It seems like we know enough about what makes good maps to balance different base layouts against each other. Do you agree? Is it possible, boys and girls?
I think it should be possible. The only asymmetrical map that I remember ever being in a pro tournament was Alchemist, I think it was called, in StarCraft 1.
Redshift.
And it didn't really work out, but
Redshift
I could, I mean...
No, I guess not, because you're both... Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But, yeah, so could you... I guess that this is probably true, and maybe we should do some show on maps at some point, get a map maker on, and talk about stuff like this, because... Yeah, I think that you you see patterns in these maps, right? Like, for instance, Pig was talking about how you turn blue shift and it looks a lot like Catalyst. It's like, well, yeah, this general layout is going to give you pretty good games, but there's like a lot of different general layouts that will. So I bet you could make an asymmetrical map that follows a certain set of rules and is reasonably balanced.
Just always, I mean, reasonable is the word here, right? Like, it would have to be... It is possible, I guess, but there is inherently going to be an imbalance, no matter what. And that concept is just hard to justify in a 3-race RTS game, where there's always little imbalances all across the board. But then when the map is like, I'm openly imbalanced, and you're like, but for who? And then that can get kind of weird, right?
Yeah, it would be very hard to make. But when you think about it, there's already maps that every map, for instance, is positionally better in one position for Terran than it is in the other because of the side that add-ons.
But it's within
that alone.
It's symmetrical.
Right?
Yes, small, but Terrans are going to win no matter what, so it's like everyone just kind of accepts it.
Yeah, that's true.
What was the map you said, by the way, that you thought was asymmetrical?
I believe it was called Alchemist from StarCraft 1?
Maybe, but I'm actually thinking, and this is, you want to know why I know this map? Because this haunts me from my MLG days. Test bug, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah, test bug. That's right.
Motherfucking bug.
Oh my
And
god.
I was that guy who prepared for these MLGs, and I was like, you know what? That map's so weird. Maybe I can win a game or two on it.
I forgot about that.
I was wrong.
Ew.
That map was so
was
weird,
terrible.
man.
Did they find your dark shrine, Jeff?
Every time. Every fucking time.
So what was
Yeah,
the problem with that map? Sorry.
It's just completely asymmetrical. So, like, it had different tile sets on the same map, I believe it was. So there's, like, a char base, there was a forest base, and then something else. And they were all built differently, I thought, if I remember correctly. I haven't looked at that map in 12,000 years.
Yeah, I forgot all about that one. It's so old. That was a weird one. There was, like, yeah.
I think it was meant to be kind of rotationally symmetric, but it was a 3-player map, which is always weird, and the different tile sets, and I'm not sure if everything was sized out perfectly. I remember that map definitely created a lot of weird games. But that was 2011 StarCraft 2.
Throwback.
Different time, man.
I just looked it up as well. Alchemist was the map that was asymmetrical.
Yeah. Brood War did some weird stuff, though. If we want to talk about asymmetrical or weird maps, Brood War is actually the place to go. Cobra Venom, our very own Matt, asks, do you think the format that was used in the last Homestray Cup would work in the GSL?
Hold on, is he actually a priority Patreon?
I'm almost certain he is, but maybe not, actually. Only Matt knows.
Okay, I guess we can get there.
Well, you're the GSL guy.
Used...
Yeah, the Homestray Cup format. Did you see that?
Yeah. So just like a kind of big round robin-y type thing with lots of best of fives and stuff. The thing is that you have to really remember about shows like GSL is that there's like a certain number of days. There's like a budget, right? GSLs are 17 days long. And the broadcasts are supposed to go for a certain range of time. We're using a studio. There's a ton of people working on it. It's a live production. So that would make it too long, I would say.
Yeah.
It's just like, you could do that, but maybe it would have to take up 30 days of time, right? And then that just changes everything. And it's like, I think we'd rather have as many tournaments as we have. We were talking about this kind of last week about how Korea maybe doesn't even have enough tournaments right now. So while, like, I think everyone would appreciate that for quality of games, to see that many games with these players, that would be, like, better in that regard. I think it's more important to have more different tries, like more different tournaments, than to have fewer, bigger tournaments.
Okay.
So I would say probably best not to do that.
Kathy, I think you're the best one for this next one, so get ready. This is also a short story.
All right.
Mime GG asks, as a passionate follower of StarCraft 2, I appreciate your show a lot. Besides the game itself, the cool community, and especially the casting crew, which is my opinion really exists, of interesting, funny, and passionate persons, make it always enjoyable to spend time in the StarCraft universe. To my point, when recently visiting Disneyland, suddenly the following thought flashed through my mind. Am I just crazy? Or is it really the case that the actual established StarCraft 2 casting crew, consisting of Incontrol, Artosis, Tasteless, Rotterdam, Maynard, Todd, and Nathanias, has kind of its equivalent in the Disney fairy tale, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? The longer I thought about it, the more I got convinced that every character is somehow represented there. The following allocation came to my mind. Doc, Maynard. Grumpy, In Control, fuck you. Sleepy, Todd. Happy, Rotterdam. Bashful, Nathanias. Sneezy, Artosis. Dopey, no one's dopey, so no equivalent here. So it unfortunately doesn't fit 100%. That's no regret. Snow White, tasteless. Skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, hair as black as ebony. Here's my question. Are you also aware of this resemblance and have already thought about it? And would you suggest an alternative allocation of the different characters? Thank you very much for answering my question.
Oh, God. What do I say to
Who are the
this?
seven dwarves of casting for you, Kathy?
I've never thought about this resemblance at all. So
Okay, you can share.
that's cute. Very cute question. I don't know what to say.
Well, is there a dopey? This guy was not able to think of that. Yeah, is there a dopey casting?
Yeah, probably Jake. No regret.
Yeah, I agree.
That's fair enough. I gotta say, Mime GG is very perceptive because this is actually who I have based my entire persona for years off of Sneezing Dwarf. And he nailed it. I mean, couldn't you guys tell already? That's basically me.
Oh shit! All right. Well, this list is missing pigs. I'm looking at this. I'm thinking who'd pig be? I think pig might.
I'm like one of the little birds that like flies around and sings songs. I think with her. I don't know.
Isn't
bad
there
show.
like a guy that
Forest
comes and
animals?
wakes up Snow White? That could be
That's
pig.
the prince.
Oh, I'm the
prince?
dude who kisses the unconscious girl.
Wow.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.
That is
Yeah.
a little weird, isn't it? That story. I feel like that's one you kind of put away a little bit.
Older Disney movies, some of them
Yeah, they get a little
violent,
rapey
actually.
in there. That's,
Who's the queen? The witch.
oh, I guess.
That's Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, it's a joke that nobody else is. That was good. Thank you, Mime. Thank you, Dan, for sharing that with us as well. Viva says, "Hi guys, great show. Nice. Jeff, previously you talked a little bit about strategic insights, machine learning, AI researchers could learn from pro players. I was wondering if Tosis has any thoughts to share on this, since you mentioned perhaps he would. Do teams/coaches already use advanced analytics during training, like other sports and data science teams at training centers? Also, question for Jeff: what is your preferred game speed? Everyone plays the fastest, my man. Everyone. Dan, anything about machine learning or analytics?
Yeah, we don't really have that in StarCraft right now. I did talk a little bit about that on one of the previous shows where we were talking about just some of the things like time to first action and stuff. I'm very interested in the area, but right now we have basically one team that operates as a functioning pro team in Generic Green Wings. And as far as I know, they don't do any stuff like that. I don't think that the budget is really in StarCraft teams for that right now, you know. So
It's also such a complicated game that it's very hard to crunch the numbers on StarCraft. It's not chess or even Go, where you have set moves. The physics of the game create, like, maybe it's not technically unlimited, but the multiplication of the potential scenarios is like millions of times potential scenarios, as opposed to chess or Go, where you can go down lines with definite outcomes, but it takes so much learning and relearning, and then especially with balance changes, that's like one of the obstacles with the DeepMind and all the different AI projects going on right now, is like they have to just let the thing play like billions of games and figure stuff out, because it's one of those things with AI and machine learning, and to my very layman understanding, like the specialist PhD people working on this stuff, they're like not even sure how it's going to figure it out. And what's exciting for them is like they look at what it's done in the past week and what it's trying to figure out and how it's going about it, and they like study that kind of almost afterwards and be like, oh, it's approaching this problem like this, or it's learning from this. And so they're kind of like studying it almost like a living organism. And StarCraft is such a complex game. It's very, very hard to like immediately take some of that data and be like, all right, Neeb, you've got to proxy gate this game and you'll beat Maru. It's like, well, it's very hard to take the information and get a stiff conclusion.
I like it. He also says, P.S. Please share your best recipe that you cook for your girlfriend. I mastered beef Wellington and a good sfogliatelle, but give me more. Love. Your significant other or friend or mother or father. Doesn't just have to be your girlfriend. Anybody cook anything for anybody?
I cook breakfast some days. And what I do is I put 2 pieces of toast, multigrain toast, in the toaster. Okay. And then I fry up 2 eggs. Yeah. And I put them on my wife's toast, and I sprinkle some salt and pepper on there.
It's good.
And I'll even bring her a glass of water if she's thirsty.
That's actually, it's
Can you get avocado in Korea?
Yeah, she doesn't like avocado though.
Avocado's the best.
I know.
Kathy, Jared, anything?
I've been making karbi recently. That's the marinated Korean short ribs, and yeah, it's pretty easy to make. Actually, I'll link it in chat. But you just get a bunch of, vegetables nearby, garlic, onion, ginger, pear, and then you just put it in a blender and then just marinate it over your meat. I actually spent I think it took like 2 hours to marinate the short ribs, and it came out fine. I didn't have to do it like overnight or anything, so you guys should check it out. It's pretty easy.
Are you a cook at all, Jared?
Yeah, lots of basic stuff. I'm trying to think of what's like the most fancy sounding thing. I like making pizza. That's more for me. I make pizza dough from scratch.
Oh, I saw that.
Nice.
Yeah, you tweeted that actually. You burnt one recently, I guess.
Oh yeah, I left one in the oven, and then I like pulled it out, and it was like this stiff, like almost looked like a rock because I left it in the oven for like 2 hours. It was pretty nice. Yeah, I don't know. I make I make a good, I think the good bachelor meal in terms of effort, but tastes like it was actually kind of vaguely difficult to make, is just a good boscaiola, which is just like pasta with cream, mushroom, and bacon. Super easy, and like onion. It's so easy to make, and it tastes like it's like not made by someone with zero culinary skills, but literally, a monkey could make this and not screw it up. It's awesome. So, boscaiola, get on it.
Boscaiola. Nothing for me actually. Anna doesn't eat anything normal, so I can't make anything. Only a few more questions here. Aries, do you think Maru's holding back new builds or play styles? Otherwise, has he just returned to really great player status from his momentary time in God tier? For example, in TVZ, he basically has 2 builds he always does, and everyone knows 2-1-1 or 2 racks. If behind and win with Maru's Magic Micro, a seriously slumping Sue pushed him to match point GSL versus the world. Most people expected an easy win. Rainer looked like he was on the verge of 2-0ing in last night. In both of the series, he starts with a 2-1-1. If it doesn't work, 2 racks plus Maru Magic into a win. Sarah rolled through him in the team match 2-1-1. I think a lot of his weakness comes down to the fact that Zergs have just figured out how to beat his 2-1 build since the round of 8 in Season 2 of versus Roge. And Jin Air Roge is also looked lackluster, hiding some plans for BlizzCon/GSL Finals, or are we just seeing the expected return to the mean? Thanks, friends.
It's actually a fair question. I think that, people have gotten a lot better against his 2-on-1. Like he was getting some insane free wins with a 2-on-1 into tank push. People now do know that that's coming. Like some of the wins I'm talking about would be like the game against Leenock on Dreamcatcher, the game on Catalyst against Rogue. That's some crazy stuff, right? Because like, for instance, if he doesn't do that on Catalyst against Rogue, maybe Rogue wins that GSL instead of Maru. Obviously, people catch up. You can't stay far ahead of everyone forever. Like, we're going to see people catch Cyril, for instance, in Europe. It's going to occur.
Get out of
exactly
here.
When. Get out. He's not just going to dominate for all time, then retire. It would be the most boss move ever if he just wins everything for the rest of the year and then leaves. He's like, this game's too easy. He goes and just does something else. That would be sick. Then I can never prove myself to be right. But people do catch up. I think strategically he's going to have to start leaving the 2-on-1 behind a little bit. People are defending it better and better. I don't think it's Maru getting worse though. It's not like he was playing inspired. Well, he was, but it's not like that and then no longer is he playing inspired. I feel like it's more people are getting used to the new level.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
This one's for Pig. For Pig, how many do you defend the 2-factor reactor Hellbat Cyclone Pressure as Zerg?
Oh. 2 factory, really? This is great. I love this. This is fantastic. All right, so we're gonna get a Pig Daily link. Pig Daily, Dark Innovation, defending Hellbat Cyclone. I'm gonna Google this. All right, let me see. I don't think anything's changed since that patch. The Pig Daily, episode 102, December 28th, 2016. Hi guys, welcome to the Pig Daily, and it's a 23-minute video talking about how to defend that. I'm gonna link it in chat.
Do it.
Yeah.
Essentially, you make a bunch of gases and you make a bunch of Roach Ravager, and as long as you have enough Roach Ravager and you shoot down the Cyclones, you'll wreck it.
All right, watch those videos. He's been making a lot of content. This next one I've spotted is fantastic. Seagit01 says, Artosis, next year when Oatmeal becomes self-aware, do you think it will immediately realize its name is just Oats combined with meal? Combined with meal. If so, do you think it might affect his performance at the Breakfast All-Stars 2019?
What are these questions? Next year, when oatmeal becomes self-aware.
Do you think it will
So
immediately...
Is it like a pet or just the food oatmeal?
The food oatmeal.
Oh, okay.
It's just oat and meal put together. That is a lazy name. That's a lazy name for oatmeal. Whoever thought of that.
You know what? It is what it is, though. So, do you think it'll realize that when it first becomes self-aware?
You know what? If it's going to become self-aware, it will eventually realize that. Here's the thing, though. It says, if so, do you think it might affect its performance at the Breakfast All-Stars 2019? I don't think that oatmeal is going to make it to the Breakfast All-Stars next year.
Fair enough.
Because it's a pretty trash breakfast.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Well, when it does become self-aware, you're going to have a lot to answer for. The sentient food questions, guys, I really appreciate them. But please save it for when Rotterdam's on the show, because that's a meme that I would love to cultivate. He actually asked about it last time. He's like, I hope there's no questions about if a hot dog would eat itself. That was so good. Holmes asks, Cozen today at 5:32. Why do you guys think there is an uptick in viewership for Starcraft lately?
Because it's awesome, and people are figuring that out. The storylines are great. The gameplay is great. Yeah.
Free to play?
Do you think free to play?
Free to play. That's actually a big deal too. Yeah. And I think Twitch is getting bigger lately too. So that probably has something to do with it, I would say. Just like more traffic. People are kind of, this is one of the nice things. Sometimes I remember people were scared, right, when League of Legends was getting so much bigger than StarCraft, or like Fortnite's here now, it's so big. I mean, the bigger everything gets, the bigger StarCraft should get, because people will filter, right? Like something gets your attention, you go check it out, and eventually you figure out like, oh, I like this game, but maybe I'm more of a StarCraft guy or something like that. So that could be part of it as well.
Blizzard says this every year too. It's actually the season, like the summer season, actually has higher viewership every single year. As part of it, by the way. I'm not saying that's the sole reason. I think it's everything you guys said too, but every year, it's like July through September or whatever, the viewership's up.
I mean, there's like a little bit of a lull just before BlizzCon, and then it picks up way after BlizzCon, especially if there's a new balance. Yeah. There's like a few months of everyone's losing their minds because the game's all fresh and everyone's doing crazy things, and there's natural ebbs and flows. So I don't focus on it too much, but hey, it's always nice to see a few extra people watching all the tournaments, a few more people chatting. It's always, I don't know, last few weeks definitely felt like there's more new players in my chat, kind of just asking questions after like playing their first few ladder games. So that's always cool. It's always nice to know that there's people picking up the game for the first time, or like hopping into a new play mode for the first time. So it's pretty cool.
Kathy, did you have something?
Yeah, I think there's also attention garnered from, Scarlet or Cyril accomplishing things, because I'm just basing this off of what I saw on Reddit, but I see some posts that I think if it has enough, upvotes and attention, it goes onto the front page of Reddit. So there's a lot of new eyes on the content, and there's always people in the thread who are like, for those of you from Reddit, this is what's happening. So there's a lot of new people being introduced to StarCraft because of that as well.
Very nice. All right, guys, that's it for the Patreon questions. So I'm going to move, and we're only going to ask a few from the questions only for hosts and guests. It's already been 2 hours. Jared and Kathy have other things to do. Dan and I could talk forever, but we are limited by our guests, so I do blame them entirely.
It's your guys' fault. Our show could just be amazing. It could never end.
just Dan and I talking for like literally 12 hours. Like, well, yeah, we got more stuff to say. Anyways, there's a couple in here. One of them was already answered, the uptick question. Oh, and one note about this too, because I did have a guy yell at me last week, which is, whatever. But not all these get answered. So if you're really upset about that, then please don't ask questions, because there's a chance it won't get answered. Or just get really mad and, beat your chest and shout into the wind or whatever, but it's just not going to do anything. Pig, if you were a plant, what other plant would you reproduce with?
Oh, I want to be like a really badass plant. So I don't know if it's possible, but I don't know if mushrooms are technically plants, but I'd want to be one of those mind control spore things that like mind controls the ants and then like makes them go and like spread the spores and then they infect other ants. So it's basically like the neural parasite fungus. Like I would love to be that fungus. It'd be sick. I'd create an army of like deranged ants running around doing my bidding. It'd be cool.
All right. This one's for everyone. Sir Elephant asks, thoughts on how Blizz has stuck with their old esports ways? Coming from Dota 2, it feels like Starcraft is a decade behind. No public hosting of replays, so no machine analysis like Dota buff. No watching tournaments in client. The whole keep every build a secret seems like a cop-out. Private lobbies and Smurf accounts allow people to keep things hidden, but not being able to get replays and learn from pros hinders the community. Should Blizzard update to 2018 with their handling of esports? I disagree with a lot of what he said, but what do you guys think?
Haven't they said like in-client watching is on the way and it's just, you know, the standard soon TM?
Yeah. Public hosting of replays. Do they mean like every game that's played, you can click on their account and then watch that replay? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, maybe they mean like watching live in game as well. You know, like you can hop in and watch from your player's first person view with like Valve games and stuff.
Keep every build a secret seems like a cop-out. Well, I think it's a little bit apples to oranges is what I would start off by saying. I think there's definitely quality of life stuff that would be awesome that you can learn from Valve. And to be fair, Valve is like, they're a little bit the trendsetters, by the way. A lot of what we come to recognize in esports as like things that are nice, Valve paved the way for it. And I don't know that means that you then denigrate Blizzard or something like that, because Blizzard's done some of that too for a lot of things. But yeah, I think you actually, if you told pro gamers that all their replays would be available for everyone to download, so many issues would go so through the roof. It would be really tough. Really tough.
Yeah, I think pros don't want that to occur in StarCraft, right? Like, you have to be able to play kind of anonymously in practice, right? I'm just kind of confused that, is there an actual argument that every replay from every pro gamer, like you can't have private practice? This is actually a really big deal. Like if I could look at every game that my opponent was playing before a tournament, I would know what he was going to do and it would just fucking ruin everything. And you would know what I'm going to do. And like, you'd have to have hidden accounts then, but those, if you could find them out, if there was a leak, then you could get those replays. It's like, it doesn't even work in the StarCraft pro scene. We actually, it's a very different game from Dota.
Yeah, it's not even a question. There's like no way that we would ever, like, pros would be an uproar. It would invalidate so many tournament results and stuff. Like players would have to change the way they played, and it would take a lot of the, you know, people would just have to play like these weird standard styles or something. It definitely, I don't think that could be implemented ever. What were the other parts? Was there any other parts? I think we answered it.
Oh, we got it. Pretty good. Yeah. Just a couple more, guys, and then we'll end the show. Warhammer asks, to all, most influential pro gamer ever. No Brood War or StarCraft 2 players. Oh, just most influential pro gamer that's not Brood War or StarCraft 2, I guess. And then he says, many of you are at Montreal, he can offer to buy poutine. I accept. You can buy me poutine.
Poutine is good. Yeah, I love it.
Good.
Fatality?
Would you say fatality?
It could be like a fatality. It could be like Daigo, possibly.
Daigo's way up there. Good call. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting is I feel like influential is a really cool word in this case, because certainly I think we all thought the same thing. We go back to like the older pro gamers that maybe still exist on some level or whatever. But because gaming's hit this weird point where like a big star now hits so many more eyes than a Daigo maybe ever did, I'm thinking of someone, you can hate me for this answer, but someone like Ninja, who literally streams to 100,000 people, and when he says something into his webcam, it's like on news reports across the world. And he actually was more of a social trender than LeBron James and some of these people. Like, these are some of the numbers that you just don't hear about. He's a former Halo professional and now obviously a Fortnite streamer, but that kind of stuff, I don't know that makes him the most influential. It's just interesting because we live in a day and age where gaming's hitting places it never did a while ago.
Yeah, I guess you'd have to qualify in what way you mean this, right? Because I guess that would make him definitely more eyes and stuff. But like, if you look into the history of esports. People like Fatality and Daigo that played championship level at the oldest, toughest games like a million years ago, obviously were really very influential for the sport.
Yep. Any inspiring ones for you, Kathy, that you can think of?
Those were those the fighting games? Street
Anybody,
Fighter and
any
stuff,
pro
right?
gamer. It can't be a Brute or a Starcraft.
Well,
2.
no, the guys you were talking about, because I haven't really been.
Yeah, Daigo's fighting game. He's mostly Street Fighter.
Oh, okay.
Street
I
Fighter.
would agree. It's the fighting game people.
Someone in chat said Faker. That's a good one too. But for instance, it's kind of funny because like I'm not really associated with League of Legends, and Faker is a Korean player. So to me, in my gaming experience, not very much at all. But of course, League of Legends is like a world big deal. So maybe, yeah, it's worth talking about. It's cool. So good question. I think that'll do it for now. Again, if you guys have questions that you really are burning a hole in your pocket or whatever, make sure and ask them each week. It's fine to keep asking. But just like I said, if you then like hunt me down and tell me that you're really mad that I didn't answer it, then get more fiber in your diet and stuff like that, for sure. That's gonna wrap it. That's episode 17 of the Pylon Show. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We got some shout outs to give, and I'll try to get through these really fast. So first and foremost, I want to thank our partners. I think this is a little bit of a surprise for Cobra because I'm a terrible host in general. We couldn't do it without Maturino in particular. In fact, now I'm realizing we didn't announce the code thing at the beginning. What is it, Cobra?
Oops.
Cobra might have died. No, he's there. Okay. Anyways, Maturino is a big deal. They've been supporting the show very nicely, and if you guys can just check them out, that's great. If you see something on there you like and want to buy, let us know about it. Put it on your dog. Send us a picture of it, that kind of stuff.
Lemon is the code.
Lemon?
Lemon.
Why?
The word lemon.
Oh, it's Lemon Meringue Pie Day. Oh my God, Cobra. All right.
It's not lemon meringue pie day, just so you guys know. That's made up.
No, it's August 15th is Lemon Meringue Pie Day.
No.
When lemon meringue becomes self-aware, by the way, Dan,
I'm gonna have a lot to answer for.
There's some foods coming after you, man. Good news is, by the way, you can eat all these because they don't have any meat. Oatmeal and lemon meringue. Anyways, thank you to Maturino.
If it's self-aware, then it becomes meat.
If you buy anything through their website, a portion of that, of course, goes to our sponsor, but some of that comes to us as well, and that is one of the ways to support us. Our other partner for right now is AFK Tea, which is a tea made by Mr. Lycan, who used to do some StarCraft 2 content as well and has moved on to do some other things. So if you buy some tea, let him know that you're doing it because he supports our show, and that'll be great. The code PYLON to save 25% off on that tea as well. Give it a shot. And if it poisons you and ends up costing you some money or something like that, do not come to us. No, I'm just kidding. That's too dark. That's too dark.
I don't think it's going to do that. But I think I'm going to have the tea.
Oh, okay.
By next week. So it's been shipped, and sometimes it takes a bit to get through customs, but I'm excited. I'll let you guys know.
You know what?
I drink a good amount of tea.
Dan, have your first tea live on camera, please. Can we do that?
Yeah,
because you're an honest guy. I want to see that honest response. That'd be great.
No, I will totally do it.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so those are our two partnerships. And then, of course, the show would not exist without our Patreon folks. So this should be updated. If it's not, we apologize. Actually, as Cobra goes into the bowels of my computer, I realize it's probably not. But anyways, thank you guys to the Patreon folks. One of the questions was, what do we plan on doing with the Patreon money? We had a business episode. I definitely recommend you go to ArtosisTV on YouTube and watch our previous episodes if you missed it. But what we kind of talked about there is, once we hit $2,000 a month, we'd love to start paying people like Zerg Girl and Mr. Pig here to come on, give them some money for being a guest as a way of giving back to the community. And then otherwise, that money just goes towards paying Cobra because he puts a hell of a lot of work into this, and then paying Dan and I because we are both in the Old Boys Club, and we have, honestly, if I stop making money, then my 7th house on Hawaii, obviously I can't keep that, and that becomes a big stressor for me.
Yeah.
So we need literally the hundreds of dollars that we're making per month off of this. And if we can ever get higher than that, then Dan and I can finally ascend to our moon base and leave everything behind. And probably live out our lives. That is that. Final shout-outs to our guests. Kathy, Chatty Cathy, as they call her. Thank you for coming on and talking about co-op, introducing yourself. Is there anywhere that people can... Do you have a stream schedule or anything you're doing that you want to direct people to?
I don't have a schedule right now. It's all over the place. But yeah, you can find me at my Twitch, at Zergirl. I'm always playing with viewers, so you guys are welcome to play co-op or like team games. I was also doing some custom games as well. A while back, I was playing a bunch of mono battles, which was fun.
Cool.
So everyone's welcome to join me there.
And what is your Twitch? It's just Zergirl, right? Straight up?
Yeah,
Okay.
just Zergirl.
There you go.
And that's how many R's are in that?
2. I mean, for my Twitter, there's 2 in girl, but
Oh,
like,
okay. 'Cause
yeah.
that's why I was wondering.
I just realized... Okay, yeah, because when she said 2 R's, I know what you're getting at because you're looking at her Twitter account, but she was getting at literally just the R in Zerg and the R in girl.
Yeah.
That got a little bit confusing.
It's just a really weird trivia question about your name. Like, how many Z's are in there?
1.
She'll fucking
What's
shoot
an
these
anagram
down,
of
dude.
Zerg Girl? Yeah, she'll nail him.
Here's trivia, though. Why can't you make the account Toss Girl on Battle.net?
Yeah. Get to the bottom of
Yeah, let me know if you find out anything about that. It's interesting.
That's amazing. If it's like literally... Anyways. Pig, we finally got you on here. It's a long show. I know that you are a full-time streamer and content producer, and we really thank you for coming on. What are you up to? What can you direct people to? Tell us about you.
Yeah, I'd like to come back on another time as well. This was fun. No, this was cool. People can drop by my stream, x5_pig. I'm probably going to go play some 2v2s with Maynard in a couple of minutes, so I'll be over there. I've also run a weekly show, which is a carbon copy of Fun Day Monday called I Cast Your Freaking Awesome Replays, which we're going to start sending you guys updates, which I'm going to make Dan read out in the weekly updates starting next week. And there's a challenge each week. So basically, it's like Fun Day Monday, just a lot more swearing and adult humor in the casts, essentially. Yeah, we add the bit of flavor, a little bit of flavor to it. So yeah, if anyone wants to get their replays casted, we like bronze replays, we like GM replays. Sometimes we have semi-pros or pro gamers send in replays. Usually it's a lot of people randomly in the middle of ladder, but it's a lot of fun. The challenge this week is super easy. It's literally just play without scouting. So you're only allowed to scout when you're actually attacking or harassing people, and you've got to prioritize killing stuff over actually getting vision. We like to just do weird challenges that make people play different. Last week, we just had people send in replays of being really, really salty. So that was kind of enjoyable.
Well, that's funny.
So yeah, check it out on my stream. Come drop by. I'm going to play some 2v2s with Maynard, who's been hanging out in the chat memeing for pretty much the entire show. Huge supporter of the Pylon Show. He is here every week.
He's a great guy.
He's a huge passion lord. So thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it. I would love to come by again. And thank you, everyone, for watching. And definitely get on the Patreon and support the show, guys, because this is my favorite podcast at the moment as well. So if we can all support it, hopefully it can keep on going and get bigger.
Thank you, Pig. Dan, what are you up to, man? What's new for you?
Just lots of casting going on right now. I have KSL tonight and tomorrow. That's on twitch.tv/Starcraft, and that starts under 7 hours from right now. So definitely check that out. Those are all decider matches. We're finishing up the round of 16 this week, so that's really fun. Of course, Saturday is the GSL Codes Group B, that group of death. That's going to be amazing. 1 p.m. KST, which is like 45 minutes from now, but also 2 days from now. So 2 days and 45 minutes from now, you can see your next GSL fix. Obviously, I stream on weekdays that aren't Pylon Show, so check that out. Yeah, and just thanks for everyone watching the Pylon Show and supporting. It's one of the big highlights of my week. I love it.
I have to agree. Speaking of which, thank you to those of you that subbed in the channel. We obviously don't break conversation to talk about it, but know that it's noted and appreciated. A lot of people have been donating or subbing, saying this is going towards the show. We just really appreciate it, so thank you. I think we by the way, normally we talk about like, oh, we're gonna miss this episode or that. I don't know that we're missing any episodes for a while, so you can just kind of keep counting on it.
Yeah.
The time for the show, of course, is in constant flux. Who knows when the next episode will be on Wednesday. I'll just continue to post it in my Twitter every single day, and it's always at the exact same time on the exact same day. But, you know, when is that? I don't know. Thank you all for tuning in. That's going to do it. Shout out to everybody that makes this possible. Thank you to Cobra, who does an amazing job, by the way. I thought he did a stellar job producing this one in particular. And the graphics are sick, and everyone's awesome. Love you guys. See you later. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.